are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Let's get over this hump together, shall we? How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton, on this final Wednesday of 2022 here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Side by side once again in the cozy confines.
It's a little unusual.
It is. It's been a while.
Welcome home.
It's nice to be back. It really is. Got in last night. All right. Got my my big doctor's visit today, hoping everything goes well. And 6-month checkup, hoping to keep the big C, hoping a Heisman it.
Right.
You
can Heisman pose when you walk out today.
Hoping,
damn right.
Hoping. So, that's why we're back. That's for sure. And it's very nice to be back. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good day yesterday. Still dealing with family here and no school and all those kinds of things. So,
well, heck, from the sounds of it, there's going to be no school for hell. The NFL playoffs are going to damn near be over before your kid goes back to school.
College football playoffs will be.
I know.
Maybe that's why they got that extra Monday off, was so they could stay up late and watch the game.
Well, we are big fans here. We do love our football in the Sunshine State, that is for sure. But, speaking of college football, you and I have this sports radio show. And
allegedly.
Rumor has it still. And so, we have to plan. Hey, we need some guests. What are we going to do? That sort of thing. And, it hit me yesterday. I forget which flight I was on that I woke up from. And it hit me. And it was like, we probably should start talking about these national semifinals.
And this is one of the problems that this sport has. They finish in early December and go away until January, or at least late December.
And if nothing else, it's what we think the expanded playoff will help it with, that when the conference championship games are over, the sport doesn't get put on a shelf for 3 weeks, where the NFL that comes in and continues to dominate the world. If for nothing else, then we stay interested for whether it's 1 or 2 weeks to get through the first round games. And then, okay, we do Christmas, and then we'll get in the habit of, all right after Christmas, hey, we got big college football games coming up.
And the other thing, and I don't know how much the four-letter network dominates what we get, but the association starts gearing up at Christmas, and the NBA's the ESPN's all in with the association.
This just in.
Right. So they're talking head shows, their national radio shows are talking about the NFL and the NBA, as opposed to the NFL and college football.
Well, and this is something for those that love college football, the Tim Brandos of the world. They have been bemoaning for a long time how college football is really like Major League Baseball. It gets very little national conversation. Very little. I mean, Colin Cowherd will give it a little bit, because when he first went national, he was big on college football. It was one of the things that made him stand out. Now Colin plays the hits. Okay. But he's also based in Los Angeles and he loves his USC. So he will play the hits when it comes to college football, and it helps if USC is doing well. But college football does not get a lot of national sports talk. I mean, college football loves if they can make PTI. Like if you had a commissioner of college football, which we don't have, and we think you never will.
But it's completely necessary, and it would be the one thing that could save the sport, as things are starting to run crazily in the college football world.
And it would be nice if they ever went that route, not that person would have authority. Like if you think about it, I mean, Goodell doesn't have authority. I mean, Raj can't do much. I mean, there are a few things the owners let him do in which they go, well, we really don't care about that. Okay, we'll let you do that. But I mean, if it's anything of real importance, I mean, Raj works for them. I mean, in theory, they really could do this. They could have a Roger Goodell type commissioner in which he rules on very minor things in the grand scheme of things. The television contracts, adding teams to the playoffs, who's going to own certain teams. The other 30 somethings, they're going to decide that. But back to college football, if you had a commissioner, a Goodell would maybe sit down with the Sankeys of the world and go, listen, I know you don't care because you don't think of the sport outside your area, but we got to get on PTI every day in December, if you know what I mean. We got to get on sports talk radio nationally. That's because as you mentioned, the association gets a lot more, even on Fox Sports Radio, gets a ton of talk and on their talking head shows, and college football gets virtually none. And now we have Michigan and Ohio State in the national playoff, for goodness sake. And this sport's getting zero, zilch, nada energy right now. It's Michigan and Ohio State. That's two of the top 5 brands in the sport.
Right, and Georgia's moved into certainly a top 10 brand in the sport.
Right.
And then there's the TCU, which makes for a nice story.
Well, yeah, if the sport was being talked about, it's like, hey, we got the underdog. We got the, hey, how did you crash this party team? And they're pretty good. And they got a quarterback who finished, what did he finish, second in the Heisman? I mean, they got a puncher's chance, right? I mean, they're only a 1 point more of an underdog against Michigan than Ohio State is against Georgia. Vegas is pretty good about this.
This also just in.
Right. So that's so much like the national media. I think it was when I woke up, it was Indianapolis to DC, because I didn't make takeoff of that flight. I was out. And I think it was when I woke up from that flight. I had missed the food and beverage cart.
No.
Yes. And you know what? I was good with that. The other thing is they're hitting that cart much earlier in the flights. Man, that's like, boom. They're out there with the cart. I need to sleep a little more yet before you bang my knee and wake me up. Okay. Can I get 20 more minutes before you wake me up? And so they missed my knee and they went right past me. And you know what? I was okay with it. I needed to sleep. But when I woke up from the slumber, I said, if you're going to do Miller and Moulton tomorrow, and since you're Moulton, you really should, you might want to start talking college football.
Because we, unlike national shows, love college football and talk a lot of college football on this show.
So we're going to preview at least Georgia, Ohio State today. We're going there. And believe it or not, we have an association guest.
I see that.
Yeah. Yep. Of course, it's coming off a loss of our Orlando Magic. I mean, we did propel them to that big winning streak, but
by saying they were going to lose every game that they played.
Correct. It's the whole reverse psychology thing.
Hope our guest's not aware of how we've been doing this.
Well, we'll let them know. But Magic lost at home to the Lakers last night. LeBron said, I'm tired of losing. Besides, I got to get one win before I go to South Beach and get my butt kicked before we party, boys.
Well, a lot easier to party after a dub.
Right. Let's get out of here quickly. Quick shower. Get on the plane. Let's get there. I want to be at the Clevelander by 1. It'll give us 3-4 hours. No shoot around tomorrow, right, Coach? Right? And if we won, no shoot around, right, Coach? We won, right, Coach? Darvin Ham's looking at him like, I'm not the coach of this team. You are. If you say there's no shoot around, there's no shoot around. So I'm guessing LeBron and the boys they're
probably just getting to bed.
Yeah, right about now. Yeah. And, they can get good 8-9 hours sleep, team meal, get on the bus, head on over, and, take on the Heat tonight. So, but we'll even talk a little association. So how about that? Little college football, little association from our guests.
Okay.
Doesn't mean you and I can't talk NFL and other things, but I'm just saying from a guest standpoint, Nothing having to do with the National Football League.
I think we can make it.
We really are. We're allowed to do this, you know.
Are you sure?
Yes. This is what you and I have learned over the last 15 months. All right. A, while technically we answer to two people, B, they don't pay much attention. And the checks cash regularly. So, you know, you and I think about complaining because they don't pay much attention, but then we realize, you know,
they don't pay much attention.
And that's probably best for Miller and Moulton, considering our track record.
When you spin it that way,
right?
You got a dadgum good point, David. You really do.
I didn't know there was another way to spin it. So we're side by side for the next 2 days in the same studio, which hasn't been the case for the last 10, 11 weeks. And that's a nice feeling. And we'll talk a little college football today. You know what college football needs, which would also help?
An upset.
How about just two good semis? They've had very few good semis. The semis have been largely blowouts. Not that the finals have. Championship games have been good. They've been interesting. They've been compelling. Semifinals, not so much. You know, it's like having a bad NCAA tournament and then a bad Saturday in the Final Four. It's like, man, really need a good Monday night.
And Vegas says both of these games are touchdown plus.
Yeah, okay, though, but they could still be entertaining. I mean, Georgia can still cover, and this could still be a good game. I mean, it'd be nice for Ohio State to, you know, get in there. And
it's the old TV adage. Give us a game, start of the fourth quarter. That's what we need.
That's all the networks want, man. Who are you rooting for?
A good game when the third quarter ends.
Yep, that's it. Get our rating, and then whatever happens, happens. So that's what I'm hopeful for. We need two good games. The sport needs it.
It would take one. If you know what I mean.
Right. And if it got one, they'd like the nightcap. You know, Georgia, Ohio State, Buckeyes landing their shots. Stroud and the receivers making some hay, putting some points on the board.
And I think they can put points on the board against Georgia.
I think they can too. Can they put the game in the quarterback's hands? No one's been able to do that this year. So we'll see. We'll talk about it. We got a Georgia guest, Ohio State guest. Miller and Moulton. That's how we roll on this hump day, final Wednesday of 2022. Thanks for being with us, Florida Sports Network. David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I don't know, Arch. I don't know. It's going to be tough. Fasting. I have a 1:15 appointment. That sucks.
Oh, you can't eat.
I don't think so. Because there's certain, they take blood work. My sugar's got to be at a certain, although it's the fact that it's in the afternoon, your sugar goes up during the day. So it's, but in the past, they wanted me to fast for these things.
Gotcha.
So
Shot 81 yesterday with 2 doubles. Pretty happy with that.
Okay.
wow.
It's fun. First, I made 2 birdies. And, we have skins. It really sucks when you're making your birdies and all you're doing is canceling out a skin of someone in your group. We all birdied the 15th hole, and we all birdied, and then 2 of us birdied the second hole. We played the back first, but it was like, I'm making putts just to cancel out other guys' skins. So, it's Keith Lee's birthday today.
As in Memphis, Keith
Yes.
Lee? Or when he played for them.
Memphis State.
Thank you. I got 6 hours sleep last night. That was nice. Close to it. I got almost 5 hours Monday night for yesterday's show.
So do you
Most
get the
I had
lines
all
on your
year.
face like I still have on mine from your machine ever?
No. No.
Oh, because you just put those things under your nose, right?
And I take the thing, and so usually I sleep on my side, so it's like over and behind me.
Yeah, mine's all
So-
because it's a mask that goes over my mouth.
Yeah.
So I've got straps, but you can see them. I'm guessing.
I don't wear them because I thought I could do it. The first couple times I did it, they're like, wear this if you can't sleep with your mouth closed. But if you can sleep with your mouth closed, you don't need this. And so I sleep with my mouth closed. Is it beginning to work? Like you getting the greens?
I'm getting all the
circles?
greens, but I've not noticed this great energy level yet.
Okay.
I mean, 8:30 comes and the old guy's ready to go to bed. That's all I'm saying.
Hmm. By the way, did they tell you how many times you stop breathing?
7.
An hour?
Yeah.
Oh, that shit. I'm surprised they gave you the machine. That's not much
Right.
at all. But then again, you only need to stop breathing once. So but that's nothing. They told me I was modest, and I apparently stopped breathing 40 times an hour. I'm like, hold on a second. You mean it's every minute and a half I stop breathing, and that's like, eh. They're like, oh, yeah, it's much worse than that. I'm like, wow. No. And Canada Relief, somebody took their shoes off in my row yesterday. Golly. They had socks on, but still.
That's gross.
Yeah, I've quit wearing flip-flops on planes just for that reason. I wear shoes now. I like flip-flops, but I wear shoes. 2 reasons, usually because I can pack the flip-flops. Takes up a lot less space. And I don't want, people got feet issues.
10 seconds. It's raining iguanas here.
That's where I am, Ray Johns. I mean, I get up far less often. That's a nice thing. I'm getting more continuous sleep, so that's got to be a good thing.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Happy hump day. Hope your week's going well. Final Wednesday of 2022. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. How about this Ed Reed story?
I was thinking about this yesterday, and obviously it's been well documented how tough it is for African Americans to get head coaching jobs.
Right. College or pro.
Right. Period. And I just wondered, and come on, I'm an old white guy, so it's simple wondering. With Dion going from Jackson State to Colorado, now Ed Reed going to Bethune, is this a way for African-American head coaches to get their start and at the same time do a tremendous service to the historically black colleges and universities?
And avoid having to put the 10 to 15 years in of being an assistant coach, paying your dues and go that route.
Right.
Well, and it would help if Dion has success at Colorado.
Totally.
But Eddie George has also gone the historically black colleges route at Tennessee State. And I think he just finished his first year. And if you're just hearing the news, Ed Reed has reached a tentative deal to become the next football coach at Bethune-Cookman. By the way, Reggie Theus is Bethune's AD. So obviously former NBA All-Star, and he's, thinking
you couldn't beat him in horse.
Oh, no.
I mean,
a basketball game that didn't involve defense, he would be really difficult to beat.
Yeah. He could stroke it.
He was really good at being the leading scorer on bad teams. He was the guy who got his.
A lot of Bulls teams, right?
Well, in Sacramento and yeah. Yep.
Sorry, we just went down to Reggie Theus Road. This happens from time to time.
But Reggie Theus thinking big things. He's had his football team go 2-9 in back-to-back years, fired the coach, and was able to talk Ed Reed into this venture. And so Reed has spent the last 3 years kind of helping out the Miami football program. And I mean, listen, it's tough to imagine that this cannot work for Bethune-Cookman. I mean, even if Ed is not successful, all right, they're at least going to get attention. They'll get it in state. There's a chance that any sort of national broadcast that's done of an HBCU, that it now would involve Bethune-Cookman the way that in the last 2 years it's involved Jackson State. I mean, you got to figure all the major national media outlets will make their one trip a year to Daytona, right? Next year?
Absolutely.
I mean, somebody will covering, the second Daytona NASCAR race is what? Late August? I mean, somebody will probably go down there and while they're covering racing, just drive over.
You mean Marty Smith?
Yeah. Or Ryan McGee.
Right.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Yeah. Do a little feature on Ed and life in the pursuit of happiness, how it's going, how the team looked, that sort of deal. So, I mean, there's a chance the deal falls through. They've just kind of, you taking it? Yeah. They haven't signed anything, but I mean, both sides moving forward. And I will say from the release that Miami sent out, Miami basically sounded in the press release like, we'll do whatever we can to make him successful. I mean, they all but said that basically, listen, if Mario's got guys he's going to run off, he's going to run them to you if he can. Because Miami's had a few great players in the last 25, 40 years. And he's at the top.
And he'd been helping out the Canes, so obviously their support is warranted and needed. And I think you're right. If it becomes a pipeline of going down, the other side of it is don't kid yourself. Miami's hoping that if a player or two is going to transfer out of Bethune-Cookman to a Power 5 school, they're going to head south.
That's true. Ed, here's the deal. We'll send as many kids your way as we can. If one of your really good guys is leaving, just make sure he calls us. Okay.
That's it. We got a really good NIL program. Here's Mr. Ruiz's phone number. I'd like you to have it.
You already have it. All right. You know how the deal works. So we're not going to call any of your players. That's the deal I'll make. We're not going to poach any of your guys. But if they're leaving, make sure we get a phone call. So
yeah, I saw that, and I just thought maybe this is a way for guys who want to coach to get into coaching. And now we've had 3. I mean, you mentioned Eddie George already, and now Ed Reed and what Deion's done. So I thought it might be an avenue that would give some black coaches the opportunity to rise a little more quickly than they are.
And we're talking about 3 college football Hall of Famers and 2 pro football Hall of Famers. I mean, Eddie's not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I don't think he'll make it because, like many running backs, he hit a wall. You know, he was on his way to the Hall of Fame and then hit the proverbial wall because, well, Jeff Fisher ran him into the ground.
It's what you do with running backs.
Well, at least that's what you did with running backs. That is for sure. So, and come to think of it, Tennessee's doing it.
They're doing it right now
with the current
exactly.
guy, who may carry it 40 times in the season finale against Jacksonville next week. But yeah, I just thought it was, for lack of, you used this word yesterday and you basically said out loud, David, make sure I never use this word again. So I won't let you use it. I'll use it. I just thought it was neat.
Showing our age, Miller and Moulton. It would be really neat if you guys sent us a text. 21,000 is the number, 21000. If you've never texted the show before, FSN Radio, all one word. FSN Radio is the keyword.
It's a casual word of acceptance, like approval. I just, that's all. I didn't think of it that way, though. In the business, we get all these emails in which it's like, listen, if you're trying to appeal to the 18 to 34s and the 18 to 49s, this is the stuff you need to know is outdated. I'm guessing that word is on many of those emails.
That seems to be the crux of Miller and Moulton.
You mean I can't reference the Reagan administration and appeal to those demographics? Is that what you're saying?
Every day when I do this, today was a day when I sit there and struggle going, nah, that doesn't make any sense to anybody that's not over 50 anymore.
By the way, it's great to witness in person the phenomenon that is Felipe. Because like an hour ago when I got here, full of energy. You know what? Vinegar over there. Spry. I mean, he's like the boxer in the corner on his toes before the rounds. And now he's not going to make it through the hour.
Never does.
I mean, it's like the mid rounds of a fight here. And it's like the corner's having to say, you have to get up off your stool and fight now. No. The rest is all but over.
I think it's a really good idea. I think the boxing reference is great because it would be good if we brought some smelling salts in for Felipe during the 6 and 7 o'clock hours of the show. He's been averaging, he brought his girlfriend with him to work yesterday, so he didn't fall asleep with her here.
It's funny how that works.
She fell asleep, but he didn't.
Well, think of the content. I can't believe the relationship survived it. What's a bigger risk? Bringing her to meet the parents or bringing her to sit through Miller and Moulton?
Definitely Miller and Moulton.
Yeah.
But it did, for those thinking that Felipe was going all Manti Te'o with his girlfriend story.
No.
We have actual proof.
Yeah. She seems genuinely fond of him, too. Laughs at his jokes. Okay. Defends him when we make fun of him.
Lets him sing.
I know.
That right there. You wonder how she graduated college.
Oh, obviously not with a music degree. That's for sure. So that's when you know, he's still cute to her. You know what you are?
You're kind of neat.
You're kind of neat. Starting 5 is next. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Ron?
Well, I will say this Heat team is not fun to watch.
They're terrible to watch. But I'm trying to do this whole Florida Sports Network thing and pay attention to the Heat. I can't do the Magic, David. That's not going to happen. Although they might be worth watching. Maybe they're getting to be a little exciting.
They're a young, exciting team.
What?
He's talking about Orlando?
I don't know what he's talking about.
I was just saying how they're a young,
We can't hear you,
team.
Felipe.
I can.
Yeah, you got your headsets on. No, I don't think so, Klecko. I don't think Jim Harbaugh wants to work for Jim Irsay.
Okay, so one more time. Expanded college football playoffs. Not next season, but the season after?
Probably. It's not official yet, but it looks like they're moving everything up to the 2024 season.
Okay. If that is the case, Arch Manning playoff college football.
Who cares?
Ooh. I don't know. Someone just mentioned Arch Manning in the chat right now.
That means Texas would get to a college football playoff, and the likelihood of that happening is so unlikely.
But it's even more likely now.
No.
Well, it's more likely because of 12, but, Texas
Means
is
they
like
got to be one of the best 3 teams in the SEC.
Yeah, or at worst 4.
Oh my God, that's right.
Texas is like Miami at this point. Okay, you can't take either one of them seriously. They've been back how many times in the last 15 years?
Yeah, that's very true. It's a
So,
great comparison, actually. Also, this little flashlight appeared in the studio one day. It's been great for like signaling.
okay.
There you
A
go.
lot better than clapping.
Yeah, I've been clapping like a freaking college football quarterback in the shotgun. Like,
Not a really good thing when I can hear it. That means
Wait.
other people can hear it.
I was going to say the Jason Garrett thing has never worked. God, they used to crush him on that in Dallas. It was funny. Every time they went to a cutaway, Jason Garrett was clapping.
you know what? Now that you say it, I see it. Him clapping.
Candidate relief, we're just saying they're overhyped. I love the obligatory. You get 20 minutes at the beginning of practice to shoot video, because, they're stretching and they're doing the most basic things. And then right when they're about to run a play, they go, okay, you guys got to leave now. If I was ESPN, it'd be like, you know how much money we're paying? We ain't going anywhere.
Give me some time here. I'm booting up the starting 5 thing.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Welcome back, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Dan Matthews covers the Georgia Bulldogs. He'll join us an hour from now. That's right. We're talking a little college football on the show today. Oh, the season's not over. I know it just feels that way. So think about 2 years from now. We think it's going to happen beginning in 2024. The whole sport wants it to. I mean, then again, it's kind of like Congress sometimes. Congress every now and then wants to do something and still manages to get in their own way and not be able to do it. It's still possible that the powers that be in college sports, Mark, can't get, Oklahoma and Texas to the SEC and the playoff in 2 years. I mean, it's still possible they screw this up. But the intention is not next season, but in the 2024 season, we're going to get that final conference realignment, USC, UCLA, Oklahoma, Texas, and then we're going to have a 12-team playoff, which means we'd be down to the quarterfinals this week. We'd be down to 8. That's another thing. It wouldn't just be 2 games. It'd be 4 that we would be getting ready for at some point. 30th, 31st, 1st, 2nd, whatever. But it'll be 4 games instead of 2. That, I think, will help.
I do. It'll be 4 games followed by 4 games. I mean, because, the round of 12 is going to be 4.
Right. So
we're getting 8 more college football games.
Yes, we are.
All of significance.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, they're not all going to be good.
No.
But yes, I mean, when they kick off, we'll be thinking, hey. So, we would have had the first 4. The first round would have already taken place on campus. I think that will create a buzz. Hopefully we get a Southern team or 2 that's got to go north, national media. Then
if for nothing else, it's 2 game day shows. The Fox Game Day show and the ESPN Game Day show are both going to be on a campus.
Yeah, in mid-December.
In December, yeah.
Right? And then this week we'll be previewing 4 quarterfinals instead of 2 semifinals. So, that'll be good. And once again, college sports in theory could find a Roger Goodell type guy who doesn't, or gal who doesn't have a lot of authority, but can handle the media, can sit in the room, get barked at by the people that they answer to, but then could also maybe go meet with the real Roger Goodell and say, listen, you know, these NFL Network triple headers, I mean, do you really need this? I mean, seriously, come on. You don't need this. It's your network, for goodness sakes. How about we make you an offer you can't refuse? All right. How about you work with us here?
Why doesn't the NFL Network bid on one of these college football playoff games?
Yeah.
We'll give you some real programming.
Yeah, there you go. So a game that people would really be interested in watching. Not like that Broncos-Rams, CBS Nickelodeon thing.
Oof.
Protect the kids of America. You don't need to see that. As we approach 18 minutes before the hour, it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
J.J. Watt, very slyly, announced that this is it. He's done. He's got 2 games left because he posted on social media a picture of himself and his wife and their first child, who's 2 months old. And it was a picture taken from Sunday night's Arizona-Tampa Bay game in which he said, this is my last ever home game. And it was nice that, my family could be there. And his parents were there. And so he
balled out too.
Oh, he was tremendous.
He balled out.
And you wonder also, now granted, they have a lot of injuries, but, usually even the J.J. Watts of the world are involved in some sort of rotation. It seemed as if they never took him off the field. Whether he asked, whether they knew or whatever, in which he just said, listen, this could be my last home game. Just let me play. Okay, we're 4-9, 4-10.
Right.
Well, sure. Knock yourself.
And then after they watched him, they said, why would we ever take this guy off the field? He's in the backfield every damn play.
Say you're better than anything else we got right now. Sure. So obviously a Hall of Famer. Interesting career, though, because in many ways he's like the great running back who in the first 6 years of his career was amazing and then had, I don't want to say journeyman, but injury plagued,
because when he was on the field, he was still elite. He just had trouble staying on the field
for really any stretch of time. So it's nice that this final season that he remained fairly healthy. But J.J. Watt announcing that this will be it for him. And that's interesting in and of itself because he obviously can still play. And he never got the ring and really never got close.
No. But he's not, with this decision, he just said, I'm not chasing it. I'm not going to free agency and trying to be a Von Miller and pick the spot and get lucky.
Which is interesting because he could.
Right.
In fact, think about if he just became a situational pass rusher, second and long, third down guy. So he only played 40 snaps a game instead of the 60 plus that he's being asked to play now. And think about how effective he'd be, how much longer in theory he could play. Every team's looking for a pass rusher. I mean, imagine J.J. Watt on the Bucs, for example. They didn't replace JPP this year when Barrett went down with the Achilles injury. I mean,
Well, and I just quickly thought of the Cowboys who already have a pass rush with Parsons on one side. Now you got to deal with the J.J. Watt. That would be interesting.
So J.J. Watt, calling it a career, it will end up in the Hall of Fame. And speaking of Hall of Famers, Ed Reed has agreed to become the next head coach of Bethune-Cookman. Reed, who spent a year as an assistant coach with the Bills 6 years ago, but has spent the last 3 years basically part of the support staff at the University of Miami. He has said, you know what? Dion did it. Eddie George is doing it. I'm going to do it too. So Ed's going to make his home in Daytona for the next few years. Reggie Theus, the Bethune-Cookman AD, seeking this out, being aggressive. Good for both of them. Hope it works out. I am on a bowl heater.
Yes, you are.
This could end, though, at any moment. I mean, let's be honest. A, it's me, and B, the bowl games are frighteningly unpredictable.
Which is why you're having so much luck, I'm sure.
But here was the thinking yesterday. The MAC team's the underdog. We bet them. They're the favorite. Got to stay away. Buffalo was the underdog. They win the Camellia Bowl outright. All right. Memphis was just much, not all 6-6 teams, Mark, look alike. You take a look at comparative schedule, you're like, oh, Memphis, a lot better than Utah State.
Well, Utah State was good a couple of years ago. They lost a lot of the players from that team. I think they had not a 10-win, maybe an 8-win, 9-win team a couple of years ago that was pretty good. That's not the same team that was this year.
Memphis beat them by 4 touchdowns in the First Responder Bowl. We said East Carolina highly motivated for the Birmingham Bowl. Coastal Carolina lost their coach, already had guys transfer, not motivated. East Carolina beat them by 24 in the Birmingham Bowl. And Wisconsin, they've been a bowl machine, by the way. This is now 8 wins in their last 9 bowl games. They beat Oklahoma State in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl 24-17, and they were only laying 3.5. So yours truly is just, I'm on a 9-1 run here on bowls. I went from 5-6 to 14-7. We got 4 bowls today, Mark. The Military Bowl, UCF's getting 3.5 against Duke. I like Gus and the boys and the points. Arkansas, Kansas. Arkansas laying 2.5. I'm taking Sam Pittman to the boys in Liberty Bowl. Holiday Bowl. Oregon's a 13-point favorite against North Carolina. No way. It's all too many points. The kid May's still there. He's playing. The Holiday Bowl is always a terrific game. Give me the 13 with North Carolina. And the Texas Bowl, Mark, Ole Miss a 4-point favorite over Texas Tech. I don't think Ole Miss is going to be motivated for this game at all. Besides, they ended the season losing, I think, their last 3 games. So I'm going to call for the upset. Give me Texas Tech and the Texas Bowl, and they're getting 4. So there. I'm on the record. I would go the other way because this heater can't last much longer.
Ride it. Ride them.
NBA, there were a whole bunch of games last night. Magic lost at home to LeBron and the Lakers, 129-110. LeBron with 28 to snap a 4-game losing streak. LeBron and the boys in Miami tonight, taking on the Heat, nationally televised. The Knicks did something that no team had done, in a really long time. They blew a 9-point lead with under 35 seconds to go.
Tough to do.
It's very tough to do. Teams had been 1,324-0 in that situation. And that's not an exaggeration. I believe that is the stat, 1,324-0. They were up 9 with 35 seconds to go. But Luka Doncic, who had been phenomenal all day, just took over. He ends up doing the whole miss free throw. Okay, get your own rebound, hit the shot before the buzzer to force overtime. Luka also did something that had never been done in NBA history last night. He scored 60 with 20 or more rebounds. He had 21, and he had 10 assists. How about that triple-double? 60, 21, and 10.
That's one hell of a stat line. And more importantly, they won the game.
Yes, 126, 121 in overtime. Knicks have now lost 4 straight.
It took all that to barely beat the Knicks at home.
Without Brunson, and R.J. Barrett got hurt in the first quarter and didn't play the rest of the game. Sixers had their 8-game winning streak snapped. Washington beat them 116-111, and the Celtics beat Houston by 24. There's 8 other results, but I can't be bothered. College hoops resumed last night. Texas, the only ranked team in action. They beat A&M Commerce. Jacksonville took on Notre Dame, lost in South Bend 59-43. NHL, also a bunch of games last night, none of them involving the Florida teams. Lightning in action tonight. Good teams playing each other last night, though, and they weren't good games. Washington shut out the Rangers 4-0, and the Islanders beat Pittsburgh badly 5-1.
Carolina with a win last night. That's 8 in a row for the Canes.
Yeah, the Canes, listen, we know they're a really good regular season.
I was just going to say, I no one really cares about the Carolina Hurricanes around here, but they are the great regular season team go do something in the postseason.
Are they Jalen Hurts and the Eagles? That a lot, because there are people that are looking at the Eagles going, I don't know if I can believe that you guys are going to win the whole thing. I know you got a gaudy record and all, but I don't know. I mean, don't you think that's how the rest of the league looks at the Carolina Hurricanes?
100%. They're not considered tough enough to win in the postseason. And that's the only thing I would say. The Eagles are considered tough enough.
Right.
But I get your point.
I don't know. Also, like people question if Jalen Hurts can win a Super Bowl. I think people in the NHL question whether or not Carolina's got the goaltending to win a cup. Bruins lost in Ottawa in a shootout, 3-2. And Toronto in overtime beat St. Louis 5-4. Some baseball news. No deal yet between the Mets and Carlos Correa. Don't you find that interesting?
Yes.
And Texas, you know what? I give the Rangers credit here. This is a good signing. They went and got Nathan Eovaldi last night. 2 years, $34 million. That's a good, solid signing. It's a good, solid middle of the rotation pitcher. And he's a very good postseason pitcher if they were to ever go that far. Braves, once again, locking up a good young player long term. Remember they made that trade a couple of weeks ago for that A's all-star catcher, Sean Murphy? They signed the 28-year-old to a 6-year deal at about $12 million a year. They got the whole damn team locked up for the next 5 years, and it's a really good team. And remember when they tried to kill David Ortiz, the Dominican Republic? They convicted 10 guys of that 2019 attack last night. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was
the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So there you go. Not the busiest of days, but the J.J. Watt news, the Ed Reed news, some interesting baseball stuff, 4 bowl games last night, 4 bowl games today, getting us ready for the semifinals over the weekend.
If you're a college hoop guy, that gets going a little bit more in earnest tonight.
Right. So there you have it. Association heating up. A lot of people paid attention to it for the first time just on Christmas. So, to you, the season's about 72 hours old. We'll get you updated on what you missed. If you have any questions, let us know. Text line to its chat room. We'll do it a couple sentences. We'll tell you what you missed.
And if you want more than that, you can download Felipe's podcast.
Right. He'll give you 20 minutes just on the Sacramento Kings. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening, Florida Sports Network. David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs, presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs, powered by Clutch Vodka.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So I've been thinking a lot about how we cannot do a fourth hour. That's why we have been joking about yes, no, maybe so. And my thought is that we do our monologue in a way so that we can run it again at 9, the way Cowherd reruns his noon at 2. So then we gotta, I think, here's what I was wondering, do we come up with a gambling segment or combination like short gambling along with the play of the day at 7:21 that we could run again at 9:21? Be good for the sponsor. I came up with bad beats. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when it crushes you? Bad beats, something like that. And now it means we got to find them.
Right.
But just, I don't know. That's another reason why I was thinking, do we do yes, no, maybe so, and we could run that again. But my problem, I haven't thought of anything that to run at 38. Because the problem is if we do best interview of the day, well, one, it may not be at 38, and then two,
So I see what you're saying. So you come at 9 o'clock and you're just taping a 14-minute segment. Is that what you're to finish it out?
Well, that or no, ideally I'd like to be done at 9:01. Because the other thing is that, so I guess the plan with that other company there is in 2 of the markets that they're going to put us in, they're going to put us in 9 to noon. We're going to follow a already established show.
Okay.
So that, so that in theory is 6 to 9 just runs 9 to noon. Well, that's why my thought is, well, then,
Right.
Plus, the guy in Michigan's only doing 3, and I think the morning's only doing 3. I mean, it's kind of like, well, why are we doing 4? And that, to me, until they put it, and in theory, the ESPN affiliates, they need 4 hours. They does not say they have to be live.
Right.
It could be 3, and then So I think we need to figure out a way to, how are we going to do a 38 that can be moved over? Because I don't think the starting 5 moves over. 3 hours later, I think is a long time.
Especially between 9 and 10. Believe it or not, between 8 and 9, it would work.
Yes.
But so much shit happens between 9 and 10.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I know we could do 2 segments.
20 seconds.
Transfer over.
The only way would be to transform the starting 5 into like how you just did these 2 games. 8, I don't care about. To be really specific about,
Right.
you know
10
what I mean?
seconds.
Where it becomes a real Florida, almost a big hits
Here we go.
Florida.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us on this hump day, the final Wednesday of 2022. We're doing shows all week. We're back on Monday. Come on now. It's the heart of football season. We can't take off. At least that's the pressure we've put on ourselves.
Yeah, this is a week in the business that most everybody has off.
This building is empty. Empty.
Right. But I mean, even in the sports talk business, I think Dan Patrick show, they've got the week off, if I'm not mistaken. You know, a lot of people take that Christmas, New Year's to get a little time.
Right.
And we have in the past.
Right.
But we're not currently.
No, we are not. So we're here.
No concussion protocol for Miller and Moulton.
No, definitely not. Hey, can you humor me more than you already do?
I'll do my best.
All right. So those that vote for the Baseball Hall of Fame have to get their ballots in by Monday or something like that. So they're voting, and then so A-Rod, Manny Ramirez, they're the two best guys on the ballot right now. Think they're going to get in? Would you vote for them?
Yes.
So you would vote for them?
Yes.
Now, these are the two, you have to acknowledge, and I know you would pass steroids out guy, because you just want to be entertained. But of the steroid cheats, these are the two poster boys.
A-Rod is. I would have Sosa. There's others I would have ahead of Manny, but okay.
Manny has failed too, though.
I got you. There's others I would put. Come on.
Okay.
Bonds is ahead of Manny.
Who technically never failed.
I don't give a damn.
Okay, so his head got huge and then it shrunk. What are you trying to say? You think something was going on?
No.
Okay. So A-Rod and Manny, you would vote for him. All right. Andrew Jones. Believe it or not, if you take a look at Andrew Jones' first 10 years of his career and Mike Trout's first 10 years of his career, the numbers are astoundingly similar.
Well, I think the one thing about Jones that gets missed, because too many times the Hall of Fame becomes more about, well, not to every time. The Hall of Fame is more about offensive numbers than defensive play.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think how good of a center fielder Andrew Jones was is taken into account to his Hall of Fame candidacy.
Baseball people feel that he was one of the three best defensive center fielders of all time.
That gets you to the Hall of Fame.
Never mind the fact that he hit over 400 home runs and had a decade where, and you and I do fall back on in baseball hey, if you can have a great decade, then what more do you need to do to get in the Hall of Fame? It's a decade after all. You're great for a decade. That would seem to be Hall of Fame worthy. But he was one of those kind of like J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt, it was because of injuries. Andrew Jones hit age 31. Remember, he was 19 when he was playing center field for the Braves in the 96 World Series there. But at 31, Andrew Jones fell off a cliff. Scott Rowland. I think Scott Rowland's going to get in.
He was really close last time, right?
Yes.
He was the closest and got to that number that most think will get you in.
And he also is the WAR hero, if you will. His WAR is 70. Not a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame with a WAR that big, or, that not in the Hall of Fame, I should say. And so, he was a middle of the order, very good defensive third baseman. Was, I think, guts least down the stretch of the '06 Cardinals. I mean, on some really good Phillies teams. I think Scott Rowland's going to get in. Would you vote for him?
I think I would. The what I've read and the WAR thing and how big that is for the baseball people, he seems to have the right numbers to get in.
A guy who has not gotten enough support, in my opinion, Jeff Kent. I would vote for him. A second baseman who had 8 100 RBI seasons. Yes, I'm old. RBIs to me is a noteworthy stat.
He did it 8-9 years too.
So, then, who's a tough one for me? Gary Sheffield. So he's got the 500 home runs.
Right.
All right. He was mentioned in Balco. He admitted to taking the cream or administering the cream or what have you. He said, yeah, I did that. And that seemingly is keeping him out of the Hall of Fame because his numbers are the classic, you reach these milestones, you go in the Hall numbers. And he hasn't gotten close.
And won't get close and should be in. He's hit the numbers necessary to be a Hall of Famer, but they're not going to let him in because of the Balco.
You got a lot of very good on, like Jimmy Rollins. I love Jimmy Rollins. Do I think he's a Hall of Famer? He's a Phillies Hall of Famer. And I would want Jimmy Rollins on my team. Desperately, I would have wanted him. If Jimmy Rollins was on the 06, 07, 08 Mets, they would have won World Series.
He's kind of a baseball version of a Jimmy Butler.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
He's really close to me. Defensively, he was great.
I love Jimmy Rollins. I know the numbers do not say Hall of Famer. I just absolutely, him and Utley together, they were the Phillies, not nearly as long, but they were the Phillies, Whitaker and Trammell.
Well, he led the league in things like triples and stolen bases, and those don't matter to anybody.
Right, and games played and all that. Carlos Beltran is going to get in the Hall of Fame one day. I think it's still too close to the whole Astros scandal. I mean, he was the only player that was mentioned in that scandal. That scandal was just 5 years ago. Well, the season was 5 years ago. The scandal was 3 years ago. So I don't think he gets in. I do think he's a Hall of Famer. His playoff numbers are obscene. He's arguably the greatest hitter in baseball playoff history. I mean, take a look at the numbers. And he's the switch hitter. And he played center field. Todd Helton is right there. He's probably like Jimmy Rollins. Very good, not going to get in. You can make a case.
Well, part of the problem there is he played all those games in Colorado, and that's just one of those things that the voters are going to hold against you.
Yep. Billy Wagner. Billy Wagner has Hall of Fame numbers. There are not a ton of closers in, but if you compare Wagner to them, Wagner probably should be in.
The problem is that he was terrible in the postseason. Not mediocre.
Right.
Not bad. He was god-awful. 21 hits and a 10 ERA in 11 innings in the postseason. When you're a closer, that's bad.
I
just
know.
saying.
I know. Trust me. He pitched for one of my teams in those postseasons. I know. And then you got, what Omar Vizquel. Now, Omar Vizquel, off the field has gotten into, trouble here. But defensively, when he was playing, there are some that don't think anyone's ever played the position. If we're talking about Andrew Jones, there are some who say that Omar Vizquel is the best defensive shortstop of all time. Is that in and of itself worthy of getting you in the Hall of Fame? Yay or nay? But it's apparently a ballot of a lot of very good, but probably not.
Ring of Honor guys, not Hall of Fame guys.
And then you got the steroid guys who have clear Hall of Fame numbers. A-Rod, Manny, Sheffield. What are you going to do with them? Well, we've seen what they've done with them so far. They haven't put them in.
And they won't put them in.
No, I don't think they will either.
They won't. They have made it abundantly clear. If you're not putting Bonds and Clemens in, then we're not putting in A-Rod and we're not putting in Manny. It's not happening.
Like Torrey Hunter's on the ballot. Now, Torrey Hunter's a Twins Ring of Honor guy. And Torrey Hunter's one of the best guys ever in the sport. I mean, just a really good.
Just a good dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when we were in this building working just for this company, the afternoon guys on another station were doing, one of them was doing some of the PA, and just, Hunter ended up, because one of the rockers was listening to the rock station, befriended the morning show or the afternoon guys or whatever, and they just raved about him. I mean, it wasn't just a baseball thing. It wasn't just media members. He was just, or is, by all accounts, a really good guy.
Whatever the Twins have, he should be in. Whatever the Texas has, Texas Sports Hall of Fame, he should be in. Baseball Hall of Fame, no. Was a really good player for a long time. Hall of Famer, probably just short. Just, very good, not great career. So, that's my thing. Halls of Fame.
Isn't Pettit still on the list too? Is that another one?
He is. See, to me, all I know is a Yankee.
Well,
all I know.
We're bringing up the Hall of Fame. I think to do this segment, not bring up Andy Pettit.
But he did acknowledge that he cheated.
Yes.
I mean, to rehab an elbow injury, he did acknowledge that he cheated. I know he's got the postseason numbers and this, that, and the other thing. I think he's in the Hall of Very Good.
Maybe that's what I should start. The Steroid Hall of Fame.
Ooh. Where would the home site be?
Wherever that Belco was over in Miami.
Miami, Florida, easily, yeah.
So that strip mall?
Yeah.
So we find a strip mall in South Florida.
Correct.
Don't we have to have the building look like what, a needle? I mean,
then now are we just going to the Space Needle and calling it a day?
It might be costly. So we need some cheap real estate here.
You're right.
I mean, between the three of us, pulling our resources. So we're going South Florida, but I think, the building's got to look a certain way.
Big.
Oh, so we're going big.
That's just it, though. They're not. They're just like little old-looking buildings.
No. I know that's where they did it, but it's the steroids.
Oh, that
Hall
is
of
true.
Fame.
It's got to have some girth to it.
We make it look like Hulk or something, like a
there
bicep,
you go.
like a big bulking bicep.
Like the Hard Rock Casino, the guitar, but just a needle.
Ooh.
Lights and stuff.
All right, I think we're onto something.
And then you have a casino there as well, gambling.
Yeah, and you have all the steroid guys that are the greeters. And they meet people because it's the only place where people will pay to see them. All right, I like it. I think we accomplished something here. It's the only halls of fame these guys are getting in.
You've got that right.
Only chance we have to make a buck. The Clutch Vodka Play of the Day. Coming up next, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, last Friday, he said I had the last surgery of the year. He said he's been thinking about it for 3 years.
Is this the tie thing?
It's the Al Roker,
Yeah.
that you take away, 70% of your stomach. Yeah. Yeah. So I said to him, I go, because his wife had it years ago. And so I said, you get any pressure for this? He went, no. He goes, I've been thinking about this for a few years. He goes, I was really honest with myself. I'm never going to eat right. I'm never going to limit what I take in, and I'm not going to exercise enough. And so I thought this is the only way that it'll work for me to look decent ever again. And he said, but one, I didn't have health care that would pay for it. And then, so now the company, one of the companies he's associated with full time, they cover it. And he said like 3 or so months ago, they met their deductible. And so he was talking to an agent who said, yeah, this surgery will cost you about $50 at this stage, if you can get it scheduled for the end of the year.
It's funny. I feel things that are going badly. And Eve's had had headaches. She's had migraines for a couple of years. So she's been doing all these tests.
Right.
She got a brain scan done. She's, you name it.
Right.
We've tested her for cancer. Every fucking test there is under the sun.
Right.
So we're close. And it's like, if we got to go through another year of this, because I once a year, I got to have my heart checked.
Right.
So, it's like, all right, let's get all this shit done and then go get it done.
Well, yeah, like if there's a big thing, exactly.
And what I'll do is we started doing one of those health savings accounts.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's where, if you have it right, I'll stick the first $5,000 right in it, because
right. So, yeah. So I get like your party was like one of his last big things. Because wasn't that like the Saturday before?
It was the 10th.
Oh, okay. So, it was 2 Saturdays before. So I don't know if it was scheduled yet or not, but like he only told me because I was pressuring him like a week ago. I'm like, hey, I'm coming down. Why don't we get together, and just, pound some wings and have some beers and what have you. Silence. Didn't respond to me. Didn't respond to me the rest of the night. Next day, I'm like, what's your fucking problem? Did you see my text? Okay. And he's like, we got to talk. Got to talk. So he said, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I went, I'll be damned.
Good for him.
So, clearly it's worked for Andrea. She looks great.
Mm-hmm.
So, I told him, I go, now, this is like hanging with the guy who's got a drinking problem. This is, and occasionally you have to go to places where there's.
So now you can't, is this.
Well, that's what what?
What?
Right. What do you do with them? Right. Like I said to him, I go, if we went out, he goes, well, right now I'm still, I can't do anything. He goes, I could have soup. I go, so down the road, he goes, my portion sizes will be very small. I'm like, okay.
Huh.
Right. I go, but you do know I'm going to have 2 dozen wings.
And I'm coming now too.
I go, so when we go to Beefs for the 50 wings.
I don't think there's a Beef O'Brady's around anymore.
What, the one's gone?
It's been gone forever.
The one by the arena?
Yeah. It was still the same thing, and it was called the something pickle.
Pickled onion.
There you go, the pickled onion, and now it's Mario's.
Huh.
Wait, it's
Diner.
not pickled onion anymore?
No.
What the? That place is actually pretty good. 10 seconds.
You got pod?
Yes.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Dan Matthews covers the Gators. What is wrong with me? I got 6 hours of sleep last night. That's a lot of sleep for us. Gators. Covers the Dogs. I saw a G. I went with Gators. It's Georgia, you idiot. Dan Matthews covers the Dogs. He'll join us in a little more than 15 minutes. Good thing I said this now.
Would have been a bad way to start the interview.
I think he would have hung up, and I wouldn't have blamed him.
And he's already liked the tweet that was sent out, so he's in.
Kevin Noon covers the Buckeyes. He's joining us at the top of the hour. We're previewing one semifinal today. And yes, we are. We are going to talk a little association late in the 8 o'clock hour. Yes, we are. Hey, Christmas is come and gone. Okay. We have no more excuses. We have held Felipe off as long as possible. All right. Now we have to go down this dark path. Let's do it together.
It's a Christmas miracle.
He's not wrong.
You're not wrong.
It's the most. Okay,
Stop.
Okay.
Thank you. You remember. Okay. And we're fond of you, but you're not allowed to sing. Okay. You're not. Some people are good at things. Some people are bad at things. You are not a good singer. That's all I'm saying. Clutch Vodka play of the day coming up in a handful of minutes. We love this Ed Reed story. You and I are both jacked up because we love him.
Well, yeah. And the fact that he doesn't have to do this.
No.
He doesn't need the money.
No.
He doesn't need the aggravation. No, I mean, come on. He had a nice little cushy job trying to help the U come back to be the U and decides,
right,
I'm going to go take on Bethune-Cookman, head coaching job for they were 2-9 last year, so he's trying to
and the year before. I mean, this program's, not in good shape. Got to do some work here.
But he looked at what Deion did at Jackson State and basically probably said, I can do that. Yeah. I can do that in Daytona.
I'm sure he busted Deion chops and said, well, hell, you're a Knoll. If you did it, I could certainly do it. Not that rivalry goes deeper.
No.
I mean, Ed's still young, too. I mean, he's 10 years younger than Deion. I think at least. I mean, I think Ed's only like 44. Think about it. He was on the 2012 Ravens that won the Super Bowl. And he was on the 2001 Canes team that won the national title. I think one of the 3 greatest college football teams of all time. So isn't he like mid 40s?
44. You were dead. You were dead on.
So pulled that one out. So, young guy here. And I thought you hit on something last hour, which is really big in the grand scheme of things. And it's why there may be a lot more guys that start doing this. You said, listen, if you're an African-American guy who wants to get into football coaching, the odds are against you to become a head coach. They just are. Do the math.
This is facts. We're not making anything up here. And
we're not social engineering.
Yeah, this isn't a woke show. No. This is something that I think everybody listening is pretty well aware of.
Right. So instead of doing the, 10, 15 years an assistant, work my way up and be at 5 different places and then hope to eventually be a coordinator, which is tough enough, and then get a head coaching job. Well, maybe I just go the HBCU route. Prove I can be a head coach. Prove I can recruit.
Prove I can win.
And then instead of putting in 15 years grinding as an assistant in 5-6 different places, put in 2 to 5 years grinding as a head coach at the FCS level. And if you do it well enough, well, obviously the Power Fives have shown that they'll hire you. And do you think deep down, I mean, if Ed's willing to do this, don't you think maybe deep down one day he wants to be the Miami Hurricanes head coach?
Yes. 100%. That's exactly what I was thinking as you were talking, is that, hey, Cristobal, maybe I'm the guy after Cristobal, whenever that time may come. But you mentioned, just being a coordinator, how hard that is. Think about it. Bieniemy's been a coordinator for the Chiefs now and can't get a sniff as a head coach. It is regarded as this great coordinator. Can't get a sniff.
No, he cannot. And we don't know when Leftwich now. Was the Jags' job, if it was officially offered to him, and there's conflicting reports, all right? If the Jags' job was offered to Byron Leftwich, will that be the last time he gets offered a head coaching job? I mean, right now, if you had to bet, you'd have to bet yes. How hard it is just to get one of those suckers. Never mind if you're black. I mean, how many assistant coaches ever get offered a head coaching job? And it's in single-digit percent-wise.
Well, it has to be.
Right. Now, Mario's only 52. I mean, that is the one thing there. It's kind of like, if you're Dion, and deep down, would Dion maybe want to be the Florida State head coach one day? Well, first off, Mike Norvell has to move on for whatever reason. Either A, he's doing so well that somebody above Florida State on the totem pole wants him.
And you and I think if Florida State has it going, there's not much above them on the totem pole.
No.
But the conference they're in, we've always thought that it's damn near the perfect head coaching collegiate job. Recruiting base, conference you're in, ability to win quickly, all of those things we think add up to Florida State.
And Mario's from Miami, and he's 52.
Right.
So, these jobs may not open up for Dion and Ed Reed if, in fact, they're their dream jobs. But Ed Reed, if you hadn't heard, is in line to become the next head coach at Bethune-Cookman. That is clutch.
It should be for Bethune-Cookman. Felipe, it's time for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. That's Clutch with a K. What do you have?
To the association we go. Mavericks-Knicks. Knicks up 115-113. Mavericks down 2 with 4 seconds left. Luka Doncic on the free throw line on a second free throw attempt. And this happens.
On the way, hit it hard, rebound, batted around. It's taken by Luka. He hits with a second to go as he hit the deck. Tied at 115. It worked. It totally worked. Inbounded quickly. 3-quarter court. Wide left. Overtime. Unbelievable.
60, 21, and 10.
Points, rebounds, and assists. No one had ever had a stat line like that in the history of the league.
I mean, that's like a Wilt stat line almost.
Very much so. Mavs were down 9 with under 35 seconds to go. Came back, tied it, forced overtime, won it. Julius Randle deflected it. 2 Knicks players go up, standing next to one another to grab the rebound. Collide, hand slap, ball came loose. Luka with the deflection, catches it in midair, hits a short jumper.
What did he say? I needed a what kind of beer?
Right.
A recovery beer.
Recovery beer. That's what it was. I needed a recovery beer after that one. What he really needed was a recovery vodka from Clutch Vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Go to clutchspirits.com. Hashtag all your drinks with the hashtag Clutch Spirits. And look for Clutch Vodka wherever you buy your spirits.
He's still not old enough to rent a car.
That's Luka with a K.
Nice. Get that. So.
Yeah, he's 24. 6'7" European dude who might be the face of the league.
One of them, don't know if they're going to have team success. I mean, let's be honest. They made it to the conference finals last year, and I don't know when they're going to get there again. That's one of the problems. Tough to be a face of the league if you're getting bounced early in the playoffs. But amazing night last night.
60.
21.
And 10. That should turn anyone's head, whether or not you're a fan of the association or not.
Right. For him, it was just a Tuesday, apparently. Miller and Moulton. All right. Let's start talking some college football, shall we?
Let's
Dogs
hunker.
and Buckeyes. Let's start previewing it next.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Oh my God. He had TCU finishing 7th in the Big 12.
Yeah. That's a miss, though.
No, I know.
But then again, I don't know how many people even had him in the top 4. They took down one of the shirts.
So what? Will Muschamp doesn't like Kirk Herbstreit very much, huh?
Really?
Apparently, in the press conference, he was asked about playing against Ohio State during his time at Georgia in the '93 Citrus Bowl. We had a luncheon. Herbstreit got up and threw a pass across the room, and I knew he had a shot to win. Make sure he knows I said that.
Don't you think it depends on how he's like if he said it jokingly?
Back in those days, the Citrus Bowl was kind of like a New Year's Six kind of game. You know, it was two highly ranked teams and teams that just came up a little bit short on their goals in the Big Ten of getting to the Rose Bowl, the SEC of getting to the Sugar Bowl.
it was a good win for the Dogs. So we had a not a game, but I guess a luncheon. And Herb Street got up and threw a pass across the room. I knew we had a shot to win. So make sure he knows I said that. You sure
Do you think he was joking?
Yeah, but it's
boy, Muschamp.
It's a shot.
Did he make any plays that day?
I don't even remember, man. Was that 100 years ago? I just remember Georgia being really good and very athletic, and I don't remember much about.
And I don't remember much about Will. Huh?
I saw Herb Street throw a pass across the room. Knew we had a good chance to win. Make sure you tell him I said that. That's funny. Yeah. So we don't know if he's just playfully busting his chops or
right. And he was a head coach enough that I'm sure they had meetings together, so they might just get along.
Dog Matthews is on hold. Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Dan Matthews is kind enough to join us at this hour. He covers Georgia for 680 The Fan in Atlanta and covers the Dogs for the Southern Sports Today Network. You can follow Dan on Twitter, Dan Matthews ATL, Dan Matthews ATL. Dan, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this. How are you?
Very well. How you guys doing?
Well, we are fine. My goodness. Georgia hasn't played in 3.5 weeks. It's going to be a month by the time they line up. What have they been doing?
Yeah, I mean, the talk of yesterday was the defensive players who met with the media and let us know about Bloody Tuesday, which is apparently their most physical day of the week on the practice field. So that is, I guess, one way that they were getting ready for it. But it's funny. You don't think about the time off until it's a bad thing. I mean, one of our hosts here, Nick Cellini, is from Ohio originally, and he's an Ohio State guy. And he brought up about Troy Smith years ago, the Heisman circuit and the awards circuit, and all the weight that he had gained and how it, supposedly affected his performance in the BCS title game the year that he played. So I guess, that can be something that you need to watch out for. Jamon Dumas-Johnson, who standout inside linebacker for Georgia, he talked about how the coaching staff had even brought that up to the players about, you're going to find out what 22 days off has meant, and it's going to show in that game. So another motivation tactic by Kirby Smart and his coaching staff that they're trying to use for the players right now.
What scares you from Georgia's standpoint the most about the Buckeyes? What does Ohio State bring to the table that scares you the most, Dan?
It's without a doubt. It's the receiver collection they have of Harrison Jr., Buka, Julian Fleming, and then, even their tight end as well in Cade Stover. Their passing attack is, when firing, elite and maybe the best in the country. And, I think that Georgia's secondary has really performed incredibly well this year, especially you consider the losses that they endured from last year's team. But on the corners of Ringo and Lassiter, they've been strong performers for them. Christopher Smith, who decided to come back for his senior season, and for good reason. He became, if not unanimous, almost unanimous All-American selection there in the backfield. But this has been a secondary that at times has shown the propensity to allow for the vertical attack. I mean, it was a concern when they played against Tennessee. Georgia was able to put together an outstanding game plan for that one in the second half. Now, granted, Georgia had quite a lead, and LSU was trying to make it a respectable game, and they were able to do it. I think a little bit of the concern with that is that LSU, while their receiver core with Booty and the group that they have there of really good receivers, they're not as good as the trio that I mentioned for Ohio State. So, Will Muschamp talking about that yesterday a little bit with the media, saying that, the size, he said they're almost like outside linebackers size-wise out there with the group of receivers that Ohio State has. He says they can run. And then, he had a good line about Marvin Harrison Jr. He says some people call them 50-50 balls. He goes, with that guy, they're about 70-30 balls. So, I know that Georgia's defensive coaching staff is really trying to find a way, to bracket as best they can, to be able to have as much support as they can. They said the problem is Ohio State does a really good job of trying to put you in one-on-one situations. So I would say that that's a concern that Georgia is going to definitely need to try to game plan again.
He's Dan Matthews. He covers the Dogs for 680 The Fan in Atlanta and the Southern Sports Today Network. Follow Dan on Twitter, Dan Matthews ATL. Dan Matthews ATL. Well, the only game, Dan, that they've lost in the last 2 years was Bryce Young in Alabama with 2 NFL receivers. One got drafted in the first round, one got drafted in the third round. And he's going to be a high first-round quarterback, in which they threw the ball. They didn't even really try to run it in that SEC title game until they were trying to run out the clock, and he threw for nearly 500 yards. I mean, is that what you expect here if you're Ohio State, in which you're basically going to say, hey, we're going to throw it 50 times, and we're just going to let it rip?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely going to take their shots. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And especially too with Ohio State. I mean, God, they had to convert a former running back who, when he came to Ohio State, moved over to linebacker and Chip Trainum. Now with Travion Henderson going down, Dallin Hayden being a little banged up, they've had to move him back over to running back. And, it's hard to argue with his results. He ran for 92 yards in that loss to Michigan. So I think he's somebody else. I mean, Georgia is so good at, if you're one-dimensional against them, they're going to hurt you. But at the same time, though, too, I think they're kind of taking the approach with Ohio State's receivers. It's almost kind of like, you hear about NBA teams like you guys, the Heat down there. I'm sure any type of sound you played from the Heat, when they're playing against one of the best in the league, they're going to, mention they're going to get theirs. Steph Curry, whoever it is, they're going to get theirs. I think that's kind of how Georgia is going to approach this receiver core for Ohio State is, look, Harrison Jr. is going to make some catches. The same deal with Igbuka, the same deal with Julian Fleming. You're going to have a group there that's going to make some plays. It's just about trying to limit those plays, and I think that's more than anything what Georgia defensively is going to try to have to do. Now, if Ohio State is able to get that running game going with Mayan Williams and that crew, then that really opens up things. And if that happens, then they really give themselves a strong chance in this game.
Georgia is obviously, Michigan to me is Georgia light. So it looks like Georgia's going to want to just try to line it up. Do they think Ohio State's soft defensively? Do they think they can manhandle them on the offensive line?
Especially the linebacker, no, I don't think so. And then Tui Malolo, is obviously a really good player on that Ohio State defensive front. I think that Georgia is very much a team of what's working. What can we use to our advantage right now? The running game, I think, has been a lot better than people expected this year. I don't think people expected for them to have the production they had out of Kenny McIntosh. And, Kirby Smart had a good line about that the other day. While McIntosh has been, the primary running back, that Georgia has really tried their best to be able to disperse it around, because he talked about studies they had done where they had seen, players who were overexerted both in college and in the NFL, that a breakdown does happen. So in comes Kendall Moulton, in comes Branson Robinson, and Dejon Edwards and other players that they've been able to use. McIntosh has also been a huge part of this passing game for Georgia, who, for the most part this season, has been pretty banged up in that category. Ladd McConkey, who has been a really huge target for Stetson Bennett, he had I believe it was a sprained MCL against LSU. It sounds like they're going to get him back. Now, what, in terms of usage they're going to be able to have him at, I'm not sure. And then, A.D. Mitchell was a guy that was so instrumental in the run last year. He has pretty much only played in a couple of games this season, kind of like Smith and Jigba for Ohio State. He went down early with a high ankle sprain, whereas Smith and Jigba had the hamstring. But he went down with a high ankle sprain in the second game of the season against Stanford and really hadn't played much since. He's had kind of bit roles here and there, played a little bit in the SEC championship game. So that's definitely going to help. Another thing, too, that was pointed out by Kirby Smart the other day is Georgia's willingness to run 12 personnel a lot, of having two tight ends in Brock Bowers, who, we've all seen how good Brock Bowers can be. And also Darnell Washington, who with his size at 6'7", is an absolute matchup nightmare for defenses. So I think that's something else that they're going to try to use to their advantage. We saw an Ohio State team that gave up some huge plays down the field. I talked about Georgia a little bit earlier. They gave up some huge downfield throws against Michigan, something that we didn't necessarily expect them to see. But with Stetson Bennett's passing ability down the field, I think that's something else that Georgia is going to try to use to exploit this Ohio State defense.
Dan, it's almost as if Kirby's gone a little old school here. Some of us of a certain age can go all the way back to Gibbs and the Hogs and Riggins. But even if you want to just go back to his last year at Alabama, they're not doing it with one featured tailback. They're doing it by committee. But, Alabama ran a lot of two tight ends on that 2015 team, and they gave it to Derrick Henry 35 times. With that Georgia offensive line, all those guys are like 330, those two monster tight ends. Georgia wins the line of scrimmage against everybody.
Yeah, and that's something, too, that Kirby had talked about when he got there in 2016. He said the first order of business was, we got to do two things, guys. We got to build the depth, and we got to get larger up front on both the offensive and defensive lines. And it's hard to say that he hasn't been able to accomplish both of those goals in short order because, you had a Georgia program that now looking back, that's what was holding them back. The longest time around here with Mark Richt, it was, gosh, you have all this talent. You see what draft day looks like for Georgia. What's missing? You found out what was missing. The team over in Tuscaloosa had those things. You don't. Now, in the span of 6-7 years, they've been able to flip that around. Now you got Alabama, who is not having the same amount of success on the recruiting trail and filling both of those groups, and also too putting guys into the NFL like they were when Kirby was there in Tuscaloosa. So you're right. It's stories being written about it right now about how this is looking like Alabama used to look, of being just large and mauling you up front offensively and defensively, and then also too if they need to have the up tempo, just go after you with the passing game offense, they can do that. They haven't been asked to do that in the last couple of years. But really, it's kind of something that we talked about on the air yesterday here, is that there was a perception of Kirby before last year's national championship that he was chasing in games. Remember the fake punt in the SEC championship game?
Awful.
The fake field goal against LSU in 2018. You're not seeing a lot of the trickeration anymore because I think Kirby Smart is feeling like, and this team is feeling like, we can control games. And they haven't been asked to chase very often in these last couple of years. So I know that they're hoping that that's not the case in these next couple of games. But if it is, I guess we're going to try to see if Georgia can win in a much different fashion than the way that they've been winning these last couple of years.
Dan, very quickly, do you sense that they're as hungry as they need to be? A lot of times teams trying to repeat when the season's over, they kind of look back and go, I don't know if we wanted it as much as we did the year before. Do you sense that they're as hungry as they need to be?
Yeah, it's twofold on that, guys. I think that number one, it's something that was talked about yesterday. Is you didn't get a sense that this was a group that came in and talked with the media that was like, whatever, it's Ohio State. We saw them against Michigan. We got this. They're a group that knows how good Ohio State is. And to a man, every single one of them said, hey, look, we know what that feeling is like to go into this thing after losing a tough one at the end of the season to a hated rival and having people doubting us. So that's number one. What I'm guaranteeing you is being used as motivation. The second part as well is that this is seemingly when Kirby Smart has been at his best in terms of being able to rally the guys and getting them ready for situations like this, where you would think to the outside world, everybody telling them, you saw what Ohio State did in that game. You have nothing to worry about. Kirby Smart was on that sideline when Ezekiel Elliott and Cardale Jones and that crew absolutely, surprised them and upset them at the Sugar Bowl when he was at Alabama. I guarantee you, much like Ohio State has said, they're using clips and they're using their experience of playing in the college football playoff of, how to prepare for this game and what to be ready for. I guarantee you that's being used with the Georgia players this week of saying, hey, don't just think that these guys are going to be a pushover for you. For the reasons that I mentioned, they've got NFL talent on that side. This is going to be an Ohio State team that come April, when we come around to the NFL draft, it's going to have, at the very least 7, 8, 9 guys drafted to NFL teams. So, for anybody out there, and Georgia fans, whenever I brought that up, it's no problem. Vegas doesn't lie either. Notice that 6.5 has not moved.
No, it has not.
That's telling you what the Sharps in Vegas are feeling about this game. This is going to be one for 60 minutes. And Georgia fans, I think, if they come out of this, those who are very confident, I think you're going to be looking at it. It's more the fans than it is the players in the program itself. I think you're going to be probably counting your blessings if you're indeed boarding a flight going out to Los Angeles for the national title game.
Dan, really appreciate the time and the insight. Safe travels the rest of the week, and hopefully we'll talk again in a couple.
Absolutely, and you guys have a very happy start to the new year, and always great to catch up with you. Hope you are well.
Dan Matthews covers Georgia for 680 The Fan in Atlanta and the Southern Sports Today Network. Follow him on Twitter, Dan Matthews, ATL. Well, we got one half of the semi. How about we go to the other half? Kevin Noon covers Ohio State. He's next.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfCarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Money for yourself.
Oh, yeah. I just looked that up like a month or
Like
a
$1,200.
week ago. Yeah. We're putting in about $140 a month.
Yeah.
Well, but I write them off on my taxes.
I understand, but yeah, there's $1,226.86 in there.
I broke that down, by the way. We're each making a little less than $1 an hour from Twitch.
That's awesome.
If you're 140 a month,
Yeah.
that's total. That's not each.
Right.
So
70 a month, yeah.
we do 4 hours, 20 to 22 times. It's 80 to 88 hours a month.
Yeah, it's a little less than $1 an hour.
Yeah, probably
All right.
around 90 cents an hour.
There you go. David calculated, just so you know. Thanks, Twitch. Based on all your subscriptions and your tips and all those things, we average from the Twitch, the money we're making on Twitch, we're both earning somewhere around 88 to 90 cents an hour.
And we're grateful for it. We are. We love our Twitch audience. Hops, just a couple segments. That's all. We haven't talked college football in 2 weeks.
No. He's. I think it's about the fan bases that Adam and Dead hate. That's
Gotcha.
And Adam hates the Georgia fan base because Georgia's good right now, and he's a Florida fan, and it's killing him.
Solid oak tree. Look at you with the Go Jags. Look at you.
Yeah, Solid Oak Tree found us from Lake City. He's been in before. He found us from Lake City, so thank you.
See it, in studio here on the computer, I get to see a lot. The screen's a lot bigger.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. So I see more of them at one time here.
Gotcha.
Never mind the fact I can't respond on the road, and I have the little message thing here. We should pull a Brett Favre. What does that mean? Like embezzle funds?
Embezzle millions of dollars?
That we're supposed to go to help people on welfare? No, we're good.
I don't want to go to jail. It wouldn't work well for me.
No. Don't spend it all in one place. We won't. Thanks.
They were showing earlier, before they showed LeBron's face when he's dunking that, there's a woman right after he dunks. She's about, when you see it, she's a bigger blonde gal.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, they somehow just superimposed that. It was pretty funny. I'm not sure. That jacket's a little tight to have that button there, but that's just me. But that's an interesting look.
The brown jacket.
Brown jacket, the blue tie. I give him credit with the cufflinks. He's actually going all out.
22 hours. So how many flights got canceled, DTW? Yeah. Hit Atlanta at the wrong time. Sorry about that. Glad you made it.
He didn't answer, but I'm going to call him again.
Okay.
Yeah, he retweeted.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Final hour of Miller and Moulton along the network, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Talking a little college football today. I mean, after all, the sport kind of put itself on the shelf for a little while here, but come on, we got the national semis coming up this weekend. I mean, we just did a little segment with Dan Matthews covering the Dogs. Now Kevin Noon's kind enough to join us. He covers the Buckeyes for BuckeyeHuddle.com, BuckeyeHuddle.com. Follow Kevin on Twitter at Kevin_Noon. Kevin, it's David and Mark. Thanks for your time. Good morning. How are you?
Doing great. Good morning to you guys as well.
Kevin, it has been a long time since the Buckeyes have played a football game. How much motivation? I would just think this is an angry group. And after losing to Michigan the way they did, getting a second life, this has to be a really motivated group.
Oh, there's plenty of motivation. I mean, they thought their season was done. I mean, I think a lot of players were probably going to opt out if Ohio State was not in the college football playoff. I bet you that there were players that had already mentally checked out because they lost to Michigan. They fell out of the top four. And while you could sit there and hope that USC loses, while you can sit there and hope that TCU loses, it's out of your control. But they got both of those games to go the way that they wanted, and now they're in. And I'm sure there was a little bit of a re-engagement period for them to get their minds right. And now nobody's picking them to do anything, that they're just a bump on the road to a Georgia back-to-back, confirmation. And, so they're not going to be sitting there with a ton of pressure on them. But on the other side, there's a lot of pressure because of the way that, the resounding thud at the end of the season with the Michigan game and everything else. So we can talk about fast and loose, and we love using terms like that they're not going to have all this pressure on them, but there's going to be more pressure than we think.
And Kevin, this is an unusual spot for Ryan Day and the players. They're the underdog. And as you said, there are some that just think they're the speed bump on the way for Georgia to another natty. But is Ryan Day and the players, are they embracing the underdog role, or at Ohio State, is that not something that they'll ever think of themselves as?
Well, I think you can embrace it to a certain point, but you can't allow yourself to get too caught up in labels and, okay, well, we're an underdog. I mean, Ohio State is rarely an underdog, but Ohio State is actually a pretty good team when it is an underdog. The last time I can think of Ohio State being an underdog and not performing well was the 2020 championship game against Alabama, and that was a game where Ohio State had a lot of sick key components to their offense and defense. So I think you embrace it to a certain point. I mean, I've certainly heard players talk about it in Columbus and now here in Atlanta. We're about a half hour away from the start of some more interviews, but I don't think you can sit there and allow yourself to get wrapped up in that, because if that is your motivation, if that is your reason for doing this, once foot meets leather, it kind of fades.
All right, the Buckeyes in that Michigan game, by the end of it, got pushed around a little bit. Do you think this is just a matter of Ohio State's going to want to throw it all the time, or do you think they're going to want to prove something offensively that they can establish a running game against Georgia?
Well, I think if you're an Ohio State fan, you need to dance with the gal that brought you, and that is throwing the ball around. Georgia doesn't give up much in the running game. I think that if you concentrate too much on the running game, then Georgia is stealing possessions, and Georgia surely doesn't need any help in this one. So you look at what LSU did in the SEC championship game, throwing for 502, but rushing for 47 yards. Normally, I would say that is unsustainable. You cannot win a game doing that. This may be one of those exceptions. I think that maybe you have to have a little bit of run, but it's not even as much of that you have to have the traditional running back run. I think you need to sit there and have C.J. Stroud, who has been so hesitant to run all year. I don't think it's even a case of having a designed quarterback run, but he has to be willing to scramble north-south a little bit more than he has all season, make Georgia's defense respect him as a potential runner to go out there, get 4, 5, 7 yards, and then utilize that more in the downfield passing game.
He's Kevin Noon, and he covers the Buckeyes, buckeyehuddle.com, and follow Kevin on Twitter, Kevin_Noon, Kevin_Noon. What do you expect not to happen against Georgia that happened against Michigan? That the one thing when you look back at that game and you said, if they get another shot here, I don't think they'll perform this badly in this category. What is it?
Well, I mean, the easy thing would be not allowing 2 rushes for 160 yards at the end of the game, a 75 and 85 yarder to Donovan Edwards. But, that was what it was. No, I think it's going to be more of a case of that they are not going to perform as poorly in the back end of the defense. I think that you're going to see probably a negative association with this, but when I say a less aggressive defensive plan, I think that that's, still fair. I think that you're not going to see them gambling as much. The good news is we know where the Georgia power lies in terms of its passing game. Obviously, Brock Bowers is a beast. Obviously, Darnell Washington is a beast, even if he's not been utilized as much as you would think that he would. Then you look at the receivers. I mean, they're getting A.D. Mitchell back. I mean, they're hoping to get Ladd McConkey back. It's their receiver core, while good, doesn't have a ton of superstars in it. When you start listing off players on the Georgia roster, I don't think on the first page anybody is getting to a receiver. So I think that you're going to see a better matchup for Ohio State in terms of them trying to take away the Georgia receivers. I just don't know if I have a great answer as to how they're going to take away the Georgia tight ends.
The other thing that, I think Bennett running the ball could be a problem. You talked about C.J. Stroud running it. Bennett running the ball for Georgia has been a problem for defenses all year long.
Absolutely. Ohio State is just coming off of a game of dealing with a running, creating quarterback in J.J. McCarthy, and that's going to be the issue. Do you sit there and get greedy, and try to rush Bennett and run the risk of him running around you and getting to the outside and either extending the play with his legs or his arm? Or is it all contain, and allowing him to have time to have his guys run free? Because, as I said, the receivers are good. While they're not great in terms of the national rankings, I mean, they're certainly still good enough. If they know where they're going and the Ohio State defensive backs don't know where they're going to get open at some point. But yes, you have to absolutely account for the athleticism of Stetson Bennett and his ability to extend.
Kevin, can the Buckeyes block Jalen Carter and the Dogs? Because to me, if they're going to win throwing the ball, which I agree with you, that CJ is going to have to throw it 45 times and 400 plus yards. But Bryce Young in Alabama did that last year to Georgia. It's the last time they lost in the last 2 years. But in that game, Alabama blocked Georgia up front. They didn't the second time they played them. Do you think the Buckeyes can block the Dogs?
Well, and that's kind of $1 million question right there, because one, you look at a Georgia defense that's a 3-4. You look at it as being something that is, steeped in Alabama defensive, history, and it's a defensive tackle on the inside who's going to be going against your guards and your center, creating all of those issues. It's not going to be the matter of blocking that multimillionaire defensive edge that, you normally would see, where Ohio State's a little bit stronger with DeJuan Jones and Paris Johnson Jr. at offensive tackle. One of Ohio State's offensive guards, Matt Jones, got injured in the game at Maryland the week before Michigan. Apparently he's doing okay, but, we shall see. You're just normally not as concerned about what you're getting right up the middle. So Jalen Carter is going to be an issue. Something that C.J. Stroud has done for all of his issues of not being a runner this and not being a runner that is he is a lot better at being able to move the pocket. But, I know that Georgia is going to do everything it can in its power to confuse C.J. Stroud and a lot of things along there, and likes to bring pressures from exotic angles and positions. I think they can block just to a certain extent, but C.J. Stroud has such confidence in his own arm that he holds onto the ball too long sometimes, and I don't think that they're going to be able to get away with some of those types of situations that they would be able to get away with against the rank and file Big Ten teams.
When you look at an X factor for Ohio State, what is it? What's the one thing that has to happen in your estimation for the Buckeyes to win?
Ohio State needs a second receiver to step up to free up Marvin Harrison Jr. If it's Emeka Egbuka, if it's Julian Fleming, if it's somebody else, force Georgia to respect everything else. And Egbuka and Fleming and Ohio State has been more than a one receiver team, but there have been moments of where it has only been Harrison, and teams can sit there and bracket him and have the safety help over the top and everything else. And if the other receivers aren't necessarily on the same page with Stroud, you kind of can expect what's going to happen there. So somebody else has to take some of that pressure off of the offense. They have to do things like that so Marvin Harrison can eat, because Marvin Harrison is going to have somewhere between a very good and great game for Ohio State to win this.
He's Kevin Noon. He's covering the Buckeyes for BuckeyeHuddle.com, BuckeyeHuddle.com. Follow Kevin on Twitter at Kevin_Noon, Kevin_Noon. Kevin, thanks so much for fitting us into your busy schedule. I know your workday begins in about 18 minutes here. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your week, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
Kevin Noon, busy at work at Mercedes-Benz there, getting ready. More media. Buckeyes and Dogs. 6.5 still the number?
6.5.
Got to lay that, don't you?
I think so.
And just put the burden on Ohio State and say, you know what?
Play the way you're supposed to.
You cover this and or win, good for you. Good for you. I will say, last time they entered this sucker as the 4, 2014, they took down Alabama. No one thought they would. But that was a very different team, though. That was behind Ezekiel Elliott, and they just ran it down Alabama's throat. Ohio State ain't running it down Georgia.
No, they are not. No, they are not. But I think you can attack Georgia through the air. I
agree. I do. But can you get to 38? Georgia's going to score 4 touchdowns. They will score a touchdown a quarter on average, I'm convinced. So if you're Ohio State, you got to get in the 30s to win this game.
And Ohio State can get in the 30s.
Can they get in the 30s against Georgia?
Maybe so.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686. or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I guess they haven't liked Heineke's last two performances.
Dalton Miller just retweeted it out. Carson Wentz is starting. Listen, it'll be entertaining no matter which way this works out.
Chance to play yes, no, maybe so, Mark. Both Ryan Jensen and Carson Wentz.
Right.
Who
does Washington play this week?
They host
Cleveland.
No.
Come on, Cleveland. Beat them.
Oh, it'd be amazing. Amazing. NBC would then take Detroit at Green Bay. I'll bet you if that happened, I'll bet you we'd end up doing the Saturday night Tennessee at Jacksonville game.
You'd be so happy.
Oh my God. Although I'm here midweek next week because I got to come back, get my results and meet with them about, because there's not a Florida cancer specialist in Jacksonville.
Oh.
Because of the Mayo Clinic. So they don't even set up shop there. So, and I don't necessarily want to change my doctors. I really don't. You establish.
I think when you get to
confidence
the
in
5 years part, then you
yes, right.
Because
Thank you.
my mom went to Moffitt until she got to her 5-year mark. And then she said, I'm 5 years cancer free. I'm not driving to Tampa twice a year anymore. Right. That was kind of her line of demarcation. So just food for thought.
I like that. But in fact, here's what I think, depending on results. Okay, here. Look at those. Those, I think, are our 6 potential games based on if certain things happen.
Right.
Now, NBC's
got first choice.
They'll get the best game of that group, okay, with the most on the line. Fox needs an A game. CBS needs an A game. We need an A game. The reason Dallas at Washington, because in theory, if Washington wins this week,
right,
they win that game, they're in. But if they lose this week, then Detroit, Green Bay is a very sexy game. I think NBC would take it.
I think they would too. You got a text while you put that in front of me there.
I'm telling you, I still think if the Jets beat Seattle, I would bet money we get Jets Dolphins.
The Jets are beating Seattle.
Although it would be no guarantee if the Patriots beat the Dolphins, the Patriots actually control things. And I'm wondering if the Patriots beat the Dolphins this week, are we going to Buffalo? Because either way, Patriots would be in a situation of win and you're in. Bills, depending on how they do in Cincinnati, could be playing for the 1.
Right.
But if they lose, okay, by the way, they drop to the 3.
And they're locked as the 3. Well, Cincinnati could lose to Baltimore.
Well, Kansas City, in theory, if they lose one of their last two.
Right.
But
it's going to be, the thing is, it's hard to take any Cincinnati, Kansas City, Buffalo taking a game off. Where you look at the NFC, Philadelphia and Dallas could be definitely taking games off.
30 seconds.
In fact, I think we all expect them to.
Right.
You guys want to open KW's gifts in the bonus hour?
Sure. Yeah. This has been the biggest thing on Philly's mind for the past week and a half. I forgot all about it. I wish you would have just let me open it before Christmas.
Well, we had to wait till David got here.
No, we
Why?
don't.
No,
actually, we don't ever have to wait for David.
You literally told me. It's fine. Whatever. Christmas never dies.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. As we were going to break, you gave me that look, kind of like, hey, I got news. So, what is it?
Ryan Jensen's practicing today.
Huh.
Return to practice, the 21-day window, which he could be activated from the IR at any time.
And we've seen certain teams activate guys and need all 21 days. We've also seen teams activate guys knowing full well that, hey, he practices 2-3 times this week. He playing. Obviously, big game. Bucks win. They win the South. They lose. They're in trouble. Now, this is nearly 5 full months, right? I mean, he got hurt. It was the pretty much first practice. So we're talking very early August. And now we're at the, it's very early in the 8th month. We're at the end of the 12th. So we're at over 4.5 months, pretty close to 5 months for a center. I mean, let's assume he blew out his ACL. I mean, I think that's a safe assumption. Right?
Yes.
But he's a lineman, not moving very far. Do need quick bursts, though, but mostly you just need strength. So
I don't think there's a way in hell he plays this week.
Oh, I'm betting on he's in.
Really?
Yes, no, maybe so.
Oh, look at you.
Well, you were the one that went maybe so before the break. So I got to be able to hang it over your head here. Yes, no, maybe so. Ryan Jensen playing Sunday for the Bucks against Carolina.
No.
Yes, absolutely. If he makes it through practice, this week, he's playing.
All right, I got another one for you then. Carson Wentz is starting for the Washington Commanders this week.
Really? Ron Rivera went there?
Right. Will he finish the game? Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes.
I say yes as well.
Washington home for their last 2. They win them both. They're in as the 7 seed. There's nothing Detroit, Green Bay, Seattle, anybody can do about nothing.
But if they lose, they open the door to everyone.
Well, and believe me, NBC is rooting for the Cleveland Browns so badly because NBC does not want to air the final game of the year being Tennessee at Jacksonville.
David, NBC's rooting for him. Fox is rooting for him. Fox desperately wants Aaron Rodgers in the postseason. Are you kidding me?
They do. It'd be a pretty sexy 2-7 matchup. Congratulations if the Niners overtake the Vikings here. And if the Packers make the playoffs, they will have beaten Minnesota this week to do it. So in theory, that'll drop Minnesota down to the 3, San Francisco the 2. Now the Niners are Rodgers, kryptonite though.
Right.
In the postseason. He owns them in the regular season, but they beat him in the postseason.
It would mean that Brock Purdy in the span of a month will have beaten Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers if that happens. I want that to be out there.
Rematch, obviously, of last year's playoff disappointment when Green Bay was the 1 and the 6-seeded Niners came into the divisional round and beat them. Be pretty sexy. It would. I will say, remember Green Bay, the one time they went to and won the Super Bowl under Rodgers, they won a tiebreaker, a 3-way tiebreaker for the 6th seed with the Giants and the Bucks. Green Bay was the 10-6 that year that made the playoffs.
Is that the Glennon
No, it was the Josh Freeman.
Josh Freeman, 10-6 Bucks. Because that's right, Josh Freeman. Because we were heading into the next year with all the expectations of the Bucks going 10-6 with Josh Freeman. He was going to be their future at quarterback.
That was his second year in the league, and he threw for 4,000 yards. And the Bucks had a franchise quarterback. And then a year and a half later, he was out of the league. Right. Not that things go quickly or anything.
Wow.
Well, a month ago, Tua was getting MVP votes. Now we're wondering if he's going to play again this year and if he's their quarterback of the future. But so Ron Rivera went there, though.
Yes.
He benched Heineke.
Carson Wentz will start versus the Browns on Sunday.
Now, Heineke went 6-1-1 in a stretch, but they have lost their last two. But, I mean, come on, they were going to lose to San Francisco. All right, Heineke wasn't great. I will say Wentz came in and he looked really good. He did. A quick, decisive with the ball, which is his thing. He holds on to it forever and looks very indecisive.
All right. If I were to say yes, no, maybe so, Carson Wentz throws a game-changing interception against the Cleveland Browns.
Ooh, boy.
I'm a yes.
I'm definitely a maybe so. Definitely a maybe so.
I will say Carson Wentz starting for the Commanders against the Browns now makes that game more interesting to me. It was interesting because so much is on the line for Washington, but now there's even another little X factor.
I'm curious, do Packers and Lions fans feel better about their playoff chances now that they've heard the news that Carson Wentz is starting for Washington?
I think so. Because I have felt this closet Lion fan coming out of me in the past few weeks. And I actually watched the game I watched the entire Lions-Carolina game. And that was a tough watch.
I feel like Ron Rivera is the baseball manager in which you've got a starting pitcher that's in there, and he's your guy, and he's doing well. And then the manager's thinking, his pitch count and this, that, and the other thing. I'm thinking of maybe going to the bullpen. And this is where the bullpen coach or the pitching coach has to say to him, Skip, put yourself in the other dugout. Do you think they'd be happy if you leave our guy in or if you take him out? And that's what we're asking Browns, Lions, and Packers fans right now. Do you feel good that Ron Rivera just made a pitching change? I think you do. I think everybody's lost faith in Carson Wentz. I mean, come on. Last time we saw him, he looked broken.
Terribly broken. The problem is that so does Deshaun Watson. I mean, if you're looking from the Packers or Lions perspective here, you're going, that's great. Cleveland can't get out of their own way right now.
And you know what, if you're a Browns fan, you really need, and this has gotten lost in the shuffle, Trevor Lawrence and the Jags played a really good season finale last year. And you walked off the field after that game going, all right, I haven't seen it all year, but this guy today, that guy's going to be a franchise quarterback. And if you're a Browns fan, in one of these last two games, you need Deshaun Watson to play a certain way where you could all offseason think to yourself, all right, he got the rust out of his system. Did you see how he played against Washington? When that guy's going to win us some games. That's, if you're a Cleveland fan, what you need to see.
100%, because they've not seen any of it this year.
No.
It's been rusty. It's been bad.
Right. Mm-hmm.
This guy's not looked at all like the Deshaun Watson that appeared a couple of years ago.
So Jensen practicing for the Bucks, huh? Okay. Did you see quickly Leonard Fournette kind of made a little social media mistake? He got into it with somebody and said, I hate when people, question whether I'm in shape, this, that, and the other thing. I've been dealing with this plantar fasciitis thing. And somebody with the Bucs social media said, dude, delete that. And it was gone. But
his foot will get stepped on 74 times when he plays Carolina.
Don't know which foot it is, but
we'll take our chances.
Exactly. So keep that in mind. Fournette's dealing with that, and he's playing through it. So you're a no on Jensen. I'm a yes.
I'm a no on Jensen.
All right.
I hope I'm wrong.
And you're a yes that Carson Wentz throws a game-changing interception, and I'm a maybe so.
I'm picking Cleveland. Put it this way.
Wow.
I'm picking Cleveland to win the game because of this move.
How about that? That's gutsy. You know they couldn't beat a dome team at home last week in frigid conditions.
I understand that, but Washington's a bad football team.
Huh.
They're at best average.
Okay. All right. But it's the NFL, baby.
That's right.
We got 7 teams on each side that make it, so that means we can have a bad team in the playoffs. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Jonathan Isaac has not played, correct?
Nope. He has not played since the bubble.
In 2 years, right?
Jonathan Isaac has not played since the bubble. So, Jonathan Isaac, if you're listening, which I know you aren't, play basketball, please.
Well, I guess that's a career-ending injury, I guess.
One after the other, Or it's the ACL. Put it this way. He was 22 years old the last time he played an NBA game. He's 25 now.
Well, the bubble was 2020 in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's over 2 years, right? So what is it that you got? Because I don't want to ask whatever you want.
Oh, I'm going to be pretty generic. It's Orlando Magic after all. I think we do 6-7 minutes here and call today. You know, why does the turnaround happen? Can they sustain it? I'm very simple. His answer is going to give me right where the next question's going every time. We may want to get somebody on reading an article from casino.org about this whole Barstool thing and Penn gambling and their college shows, and they've been fined. And it says, why does it matter to ESPN? ESPN doing gambling content on game day when they're on college campuses in states that don't allow you to bet till you're 21.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I find it to be fascinating, actually.
Here, or we got 1 minute. I'm gonna call him now.
Because they're talking about if ESPN wants its own sports book, like Barstool has its own sports book. That's where the conflict comes. Just interesting article.
I like it. You want to do that before the top of the hour, or do you want to wait till next hour?
Save it. I thought save it next week, and they might get a guest.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. That's why you mentioned it. Got it.
He's on. We're coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We're always thankful when a guest takes the time to join us because of the hour that our show is on, and particularly when they're either working or they worked late the night before, which is the case with Jake Chapman because he's the radio play-by-play voice for the Orlando Magic. Follow Jake on Twitter, Jake Chapman OM, Jake Chapman OM. Jake, it's David and Mark. Thanks for joining us. How are you?
Guys, good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Well, we're good. We want to let you in on a little, behind the scenes how the show works. So 3 weeks ago, when the Magic were god-awful, all right, we said, and I forget who it was that they were hosting, a good team. And we said, well, so-and-so is going to go to Orlando tonight and beat the Magic. All right. And then moved on. And the Magic won. And so we said, well, I think we owe it to the Magic to see whether or not we can start a streak. And so next home game, so-and-so is going to go to Orlando and beat the Magic. And obviously we know what happened. The Magic won 6 in a row and 8 of 9 before last night. So, Jake, we are taking some credit for the Magic's turnaround here. Just so you know, we're taking some of the credit.
But then the question remains: what happened last night? Were you guys on? Did you drop the ball yesterday?
We did, because we said LeBron and the Lakers were going to go in and thump the Magic. And
well, I had that feeling last night too. So you guys were not alone. I think it's an NBA season, and that was a desperate Lakers team that you saw. And you come back from the holidays, everybody's playing well. You're starting to the press clippings. I think we were about due a performance like that, but I give last night a little bit more to what the Lakers were able to do. It looked like it meant a lot to them. So So you're absolved. I'm not placing all the blame on you guys for last night's performance.
Well, what has been, despite take last night out of it, what has been the main thing of this turnaround? I mean, they were a bad basketball team. You win 8 and 9. That's not a bad basketball team. What has caused this turnaround where they look like they're now on their way to finding themselves as a club?
Yeah, I think a couple things. I think you can point to Markelle Fultz's return right at the end of November. The team has been much different on both ends of the floor. So the defense has been very, very good. And look, the three-point defense has been good all season. And so some of this is the way the roster was built kind of clicking into place. Like, you've got so much size on the perimeter when you're talking about Bol, and if you have a healthy Wendell, then of course Paolo and Franz, and even you have size in the backcourt if you got Markelle Fultz healthy. And so, you start to go through it and you say, okay, in the half court, this team should be able to defend the three better than, 25 teams across the league. Okay, you got that box checked, and they had that box checked earlier on in the season when they were losing games. Then you start to get guys back, and you start to gain some stability in the rotation, and finally, night in and night out, guys are looking next to each other, and they know who's there, and that can be so important specifically defensively because you have to have trust. They always say you're on a string defensively when you're playing well, and you've seen that. They have been on a string for large portions of games the last couple of weeks. It's never going to be perfect. And last night, I don't think they were on a string much at all, quite frankly. But defensively, they've been locked in. They've been communicating. They've been more physical, and the numbers have bear that out. And then I think that can affect everything. I think getting Markelle Fultz back means the ball is going to move. And now everybody's confident in their role offensively. And then you start locking in defensively a little bit more. So, it's kind of like complementary basketball is the way I've been describing it. But I think you can really point to Markelle coming back and the guys getting healthy and the guys staying healthy. There's finally, it feels like anyway, some stability within the rotation, and that can really, really bear some positive fruits.
Jake Chapman, he's the radio play-by-play voice for the Orlando Magic. You can follow him on Twitter, Jake Chapman OM, Jake Chapman OM. Jake, is this sustainable? We see bad teams have good couple weeks and then finish 24-58. This is a really good 3-week stretch. Do you think 4 months from now, when we recap this season together, and we hope to talk between now and then often, but I'm just saying 4 months from now, when we're putting this season and wrapping it up, okay, do you think that this is going to be just kind of that, well, I guess we saw what was possible, but how come we couldn't see it? Or is this the beginning of something?
It's a great question. I think it'll be somewhere in the middle. I think it's the beginning of something. I'm not sure. Actually, I am sure. We're not going to win 8 out of every 9 games, right? Like, I don't think we're at that point. I'm not sure we're a 500 team yet because you have to prove that. You are what your record says that you are. But I also don't think we're going to look back and say, oh, man, that was a nice stretch of 9 games. And then everything just sort of fell apart. Sort of injuries. If you wake up tomorrow and, God forbid, something else is wrong with the core of this roster, I don't even want to put it onto the universe. Then, yes, I think there might be some issues and you might take a couple steps backward. But, the reason I've been using words like sustainable with what we've seen is because it feels like it is. It's not, okay, if Paolo Banchero gets into foul trouble, then the whole thing, is thrown off. You've got different guys who have contributed night to night. You've won games different ways, which I think is really important. You've had to junk it up against teams like Toronto. You've scored 135 points against teams like Atlanta. So I think you're seeing a team that's growing, and you're seeing different sort of elements of it that are sustainable. And ideally, you're able to kind of spin that forward. I think if you get to March and you're talking playoffs and you're playing meaningful basketball, then the season will be considered a success. I don't think anybody thought this team was going to be a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference, but I don't think anybody thought this team was going to be a bottom 3 team in the league either. So it was a disappointing start to the season. Now you're just kind of trying to claw your way back.
How good can Banchero be, and just how much has he developed already this year? It takes a while for guys to figure this league out. He's already averaging over 20. I don't think he's figured it out yet, but how good can he be?
Yeah, I mean, that's the scary part. Is don't think he necessarily has figured it out yet. What he has figured out, and he's smart enough to know, is how teams are defending him, and what he needs to do to adjust to that. So a lot of times it's, hey, buddy, can you shoot the three? If you can knock it down, then we'll adjust. And so a lot of times early in games, you've seen him with good looks from the perimeter that sometimes he makes and sometimes he doesn't. And he knows darn well, once he starts knocking those things down, everything else is going to open up because he's going to be keeping defenses honest and they're going to have to get out on the perimeter on him. What I find most interesting about him, or one of the things anyways, is this guy's a dog. He is a competitor. He's one of these guys who, you remember how people used to say about Jordan that he hated losing more than he liked winning? That's what I see in Paolo Banchero. His biggest thing when he arrived here was to be the rookie and to sort of take this on your shoulders can be a little tricky, but he was like, I'm not comfortable with losing, and I really do not want us to get comfortable with losing and any sort of complacency to set in where that's the norm. He has won at just about every level of his career and of his life. And he still looks for perceived slights. He still was mad that he wasn't projected to be the number one pick in the NBA draft. Number 3 was, he was okay with it, but he wanted to be the number one pick. He wants every single sort of level of validation, both individual and team. So I just think he's got the mental makeup, especially for a kid who just turned 20 years old, to be a really, really great player. And then that's before you even get into 6'10", 250, probably still growing, and some of the skills he has. I mean, I really think he can be like a great one, superstar level player, perennial all-star, all of the above, but obviously still a long way to go.
And to think he had to deal with losing 20 of his first 25 games as a pro, but the Magic have won 8 of their last 10, despite the loss at home to the Lakers last night. Jake, 2 very quick questions. The first, our show originated in Southwest Florida. Jonathan Isaac, grew up in Naples. Are we ever going to see him again, or is that knee injury a career-ending injury?
No, guys, he's close. He's close, and that's about as far as you'll get me or probably anybody from the organization to say, because we don't do timelines, and you don't want to put pressure on him. But they let us in to shoot around, and you see him working with the team. Is he with the starters? No. Is he doing full court burn? They don't let us watch that. We're not sure. But he is close. He was working with the bigs yesterday. He was working with Mo Wagner. He addressed the team at the end of shoot-around yesterday. Just had some things to say because he has been kind of at arm's length. So he's getting there. I am starting to allow myself to believe that we're going to see him soon. And it's been a while since I said that. The kid, you guys know, like it's not for lack of trying. I mean, he's putting his heart out there and he's really, really grinding, but it's really tricky. And what a lot of people miss, and we put this out there, but a lot of people gloss over it, was he had a hamstring injury in the middle of his rehab from the knee. So basically, and he's still coming back from the knee, and that's what shows up on the injury report. But at the end of last year, he had a setback in his knee rehab because he hurt his hamstring. And so, okay, we got to rest up the hamstring and then we'll go back to rehabbing the knee. So it's just been kind of one thing after another with the kid. But he is, if anybody's going to work his way after those injuries back out of the floor, it's J.I. So I am very, very fingers crossed, optimistic that we're going to see him, soon. Let's just say before the All-Star break, I think we'll see him out there.
Jake, appreciate your time, particularly at this hour of the day for you. And Happy New Year, and we'll catch up, say, mid-January.
Happy holidays, Happy New Year, guys, and I'd love to anytime.
Jake Chapman is the radio play-by-play voice of the Orlando Magic. You can follow him on Twitter, Jake Chapman OM, Jake Chapman OM.
I will say they're at Detroit tonight.
Mm-hmm.
You have to win that game if you're Orlando. And I know it's back-to-back nights, and that's not easy, but Detroit's bad.
One of 4 teams in the league with a worse record than you. So you can look at Orlando one of 2 ways. They're the 5th worst team in the league right now based on record. They're also 2.5 games out of the play-in the East. Like right now, the East has 9 teams that are 500 or above. But Toronto hasn't figured it out yet. They're like 4 games below 500. So if you're chasing that 10th and final play-in spot in the East, For Washington, Chicago, Orlando, it's within reach.
I might double down on Florida NBA teams tonight.
Look at you.
Go Magic and Heat. The Heat are laying a big number.
Well,
but the Lakers have been are they in bed is the question.
Oh, come on. They're in bed.
Maybe.
So you figure what? Game ended around, they got out of the arena 10:30-ish last night in Orlando to get to the short flight. They landed midnight.
Right.
They were at the Clevelander at 1, right?
Well, they weren't there, but I get your point. It's the only club David knows, so you just got to bear with them, Felipe.
Right. It's the only one I've closed on South Beach. Correct.
It was only 20 years ago, but
my guess is 11. They were probably at 11, or maybe Club Live, But yeah, 7:30 tip off. You got plenty of time, I think.
Yeah, I think they partied 1 to 5. I think went at it pretty hard. And then, get back to the hotel, sleep around 6, no shoot around today, except, maybe some of the guys who didn't play might want to, stretch and what have you. Figure you get 8 hours, wake up around 2.
But the Heat are laying 8 tonight.
That is big. Second at back-to-backs, though. Joint will be jumping because you know who was there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you're going to bet both the Heat and Magic tonight.
I am. I'd probably parlay it and try to work some points. I don't know what you get in a hoop game.
Another reason why we should have bet the Lakers hard last night, the Magic were favored. When was the last time the Magic were favored against the Lakers? 11 years ago. Dwight Howard, Stan Van Gundy, and the boys went to back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals, that sort of deal. So it had been over 11 years since the Magic have been favored against the Lakers. It's another reason. We could have gotten LeBron in like 3.5 last night. We missed a golden opportunity, but we're betting against him tonight.
Yes.
Okay.
At least I am. I don't know. You still got your bowl games to go through next hour.
Well, I'm on a heater, but that's college football. It's not NBA. Tell you what, Felipe, here you go. You're the Heat guy. You saw him play last Friday. You follow him very closely. All right. Would you lay the 8 with your boys tonight?
No.
Wow, look at that.
I'd bet the underdog on the Lakers. The Heat can't rebound, and neither can the Lakers.
I was going to say, they don't have LeBron's like the tallest guy on the floor.
I don't know.
So he went from no to maybe so.
There you go. Another edition of yes, no, maybe so. He just gave all 3 answers in the same question.
That is his gift. He doesn't realize it. This segment, is really for Felipe. Yes, no, maybe so. Because if you talk to him long enough, you get all answers.
You really do. You really do.
Like right now, he's no, maybe so. He's got 30 seconds. He may talk himself into yes.
He's trying to.
He is.
I'm taking LA.
Okay, he's a no. Officially a no. You're a yes.
I'm a yes.
I'm a yes.
Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening. The bonus hour is next on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Tennessee.
Boy, it's worth paying attention to for DraftKings. You know, there is little TMI behind the scenes here. There is nothing that smells worse than the whatever water we use in the toilets here. When it stinks. They use like the reclaimed water, whatever they use there.
Yeah.
There's something about when that hits the wow.
I mean, at this point, I've just gotten used to it, but
It smells.
It does have
awful.
a smell. Yeah.
Once urine hits it, it smells worse too. It's as far as I'll go, but it is something. Yes, rotten eggs, Yinzer.
My God, and that you probably haven't been in it, but the refrigerator in the break room, it's horrid.
I wouldn't open any. I'm 53 years old. I have never worked in a dirtier place than this building. I find this building to be like, I don't think you get sick because there's so much disease here. You get immune from it. The bathrooms are disgusting. The kitchen's disgusting. You walk out back, there's 5 million cigarette butts.
My God, it's a graveyard. It is like bullet shells in a freaking war zone.
Hey, Twitch chat, and I don't remember which one of you, when the hell is the Fat Cat's going to open across the street here?
Oh, Deepak. It's coming together now. It's actually coming together. By the way, David, his name is David Pockwitz.
Okay. David, what the hell?
He texted me this morning, or he texted me last night.
Not different David, different guy.
Oh,
David on the Twitch chat. Gotcha. He's over there. What?
What'd I do? What?
He texted me last night. He said, I know you work in the AM, but 60, 21, and 10 for Luka? Damn.
Now
I'm not listening. I'm looking up brackets.
Brackets?
Brackets. Apparently, Fox Sports, Mike DeCourcy did his bracket, and he's got FGCU in the tournament.
Why? Says they're going to win the conference?
Yeah. He's got him as a 13, playing Virginia in a 4-13.
Losing by 25 to Virginia in that first round matchup.
Oh, man. Why does it have to be domestic violence?
Boxer?
No, I'm just looking for good, bad. Man use Xmas ornament and domestic attack. If it was just a regular attack on someone, I'm okay with it. I can't do it when it's... Ouch.
So is the joke going forward for Southwest Airlines? You want to get away?
What the CEO said already expects another tough day today.
5 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this hump day, the final Wednesday of 2022. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Kind of a catch your breath day. It usually is in the sports world, although we do have 4 bowl games today. And if you're into that sort of thing, whether from a gambling perspective or you just like the Bulls. And
you love the Bulls.
Well, I like them this week.
Call you Capital One from this point forward, the way things have been going for you.
I'm like the Orlando Magic were for 3 weeks. I'm on a heater. I think I've won 8 of 9 in my picks. I'm now 14-7 on the Bulls this year against the number. That's damn ridiculous right there. And considering the season I've had where I was 8 below 500 so far on my NFL and college games. Do I get to count the bowl games or no?
Go ahead. I don't care.
I'm still below 500 even with the heater, but got 4 more today.
I've resorted to betting on cricket to try to catch up. So you can do whatever you want.
Listen, things change quickly in the sports world, as we've seen. Does Gus need to win this bowl game, even though they're an underdog? Because they're playing Duke. And let's face it, the UCF fan is like, this ain't basketball, man. We should be able to beat Duke.
Yes. And if this is where the Bulls are still a good thing, because I think UCF can spin this into being a good season with a win. The season becomes disappointing with a bowl loss to Duke.
I'm with you. Also, is this the proverbial, does this get them to 10? If they win, does this get UCF? Yes. If UCF wins, they get to 10. That's apparently still a thing in college football. They're 9-4.
10-win season.
Right. We made our conference championship game.
How do you say it was a bad year when you've done those things?
Right. I know recruiting's already over and what have you, but I'm just thinking, you got to do these banquets, these golf tournaments in the spring. And, if you're Gus, do you really want to end up losing like 3 of your last 4 or 9-5? You can't convince your fan base that Duke's a pretty good team this year, even though they are. It's Duke, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, you're not playing them in March.
It's just like
you're playing them in December.
Right.
There's a big difference.
It's like Arkansas today. They're playing Kansas in football, not basketball. They're playing them in football. If you're Coach Sam there, you're doing this whole, hog circuit. You've got to win this game. You can't end up with a losing record. Why? We lost to Kansas.
Well, and I will say both of these teams you would think will play really hard. This has been an unbelievable season for Kansas.
Yeah.
And Arkansas still is in a prove it type mode. They're trying to establish something. They're
right.
trying to get their name mentioned when they have the right schedule to compete in the West.
They started off 3-0 and have lost a bunch of close games, and this has turned into a disappointing season. Want to end it on a high note. So I do think these are 2 bowl games where we'll see good effort. That has not always been the case. It's one of the toughest things to predict, but when I looked at UCF today, it's why I'm taking a flyer on UCF. They're getting 3.5. I like them to win outright. So I'll take the points.
I love that you're betting the Holiday Bowl and taking North Carolina the points because, and I quote from earlier, the Holiday Bowl is always a good game.
It is. It is. We all know that. I mean, for the longest time when there were no earlier bowl games, there was like the Holiday Bowl oftentimes was like one of the first bowl games. It was played between Christmas and New Year's. It was in San Diego. The weather was great. And they put two teams there, and they always gave us an entertaining game. They played a style of football in the Holiday Bowl that we didn't see all year. All year we saw run it off tackle, 17-14 type games. The Holiday Bowl's always been 35-30.
And they're excited because they haven't had one in 2 years. Last Holiday Bowl, Iowa beat USC 49-24.
So Oregon's a 13-point favorite against North Carolina. Do we really think Oregon's fired up play North Carolina? I know they got Bo Nix and all that, but North Carolina.
Both teams going for that 10-win season.
See? Besides, how do you root against Mac Brown? He's just, A, he's fun. B, all right, Max this generation's now Bobby Bowden. Mac would do an interview in the middle of a play. He really would.
Because he can't say no.
No. If the sideline reporter walked right up to him, Coach, it's 3rd and 6. What are you thinking? Honestly, Mac would do the commentary right then and there. Well, we're thinking we got a matchup here in the slot, and we're going to go to him.
It would be great if there was some real transparent, like if one of these bowl games decided to let you in. It would never happen. But they mean nothing to really let us in on what goes on in a game.
So treat it kind of like a spring football league thing?
Yeah.
Where you get the coach mic'd up and what have you?
It would be terrific. It'll never happen.
I disagree with you. I actually think it could happen.
I don't know, these coaches.
Oh, well, they're no doubt. They're control freaks and the whole deal. But you only need one. I mean, bless his soul. Like, if we went to Mike Leach with the idea, do you think Leach would have said no? If you go to Mac Brown with the idea, yes, no, maybe so. I'm telling my $20 is on yes, he'd do it. Not an important bowl game.
No. The game we're talking about right here. The Holiday Bowl. Oregon and North Carolina. 13-point spread. 8:00 tonight. Should be 75. I will say that 75 over under. You're going to see a lot of points. North Carolina has no clue how to play defense.
Right.
Not a clue.
I actually think you can get Mac Brown to be mic'd up for this game. He could be like a NASCAR driver. All right. All of a sudden, hey, Mac, can you hear us? Sean McDonough, Todd Blackledge in the booth. How are you? I'm fine, boys. What's going on? Well, Coach, how do you think you're playing? Well, still struggling to stop people, but got the offense going. What are you thinking on this possession? Well, we're going to let Meg just throw it all over the lot. That's what he's good at. Got any answers on defense? I don't know. Just ask the defensive coordinator that. He's the guy I'm paying to come up with answers.
And he didn't have any.
Right.
Hasn't had one all year. Did you see Appalachian State? They scored 40 in the fourth quarter against us.
So if you guys know a good DC, I might be in the market for one. All right, Coach. We'll check back in the fourth. All right. Hey, Todd. Good talking to you. I could definitely see Mac Brown doing that.
It would make I would be all for it. Because they've got to entice bowl season. I mean, when we go to 12, it's going to be tough. These games aren't going away.
As a reminder, Bobby Bowden was talking to Lynn Swann while the national championship game was going on. They ran a trick play while he was talking to Lynn Swann. It's why some of us would have taken a bullet for Bobby Bowden. I mean, if you're a member of the media, all right, it's why when things went south in Tallahassee and the media was pretty, giving him the benefit of the doubt and what have you, there's a reason why. To review, he was doing a live interview while the national championship game was playing. They didn't hold up the game to do the quick. They didn't do what they do in the NFL now, which is they tape the 2-question interview during the commercial break. No. No. They ran a trick play while he was talking.
I will say the fact that they're getting coaches of NFL games between quarters is surprising to me.
It's 2 questions. They're pretty standard.
It's okay.
So are the answers. A lot of people complaining about them, saying we don't get anything from this.
We never have.
I just think I don't see how it's a bad thing.
I don't either, but what are you expecting them to say? I mean, we get talking heads saying the same thing the coach is saying. It's just a little bit of coach speak for 2 questions.
I mean, hey, young quarterback here through, how do you think he's playing? Well, struggling a bit. Be nice if we can get the running game going to help him, but, we think it'll get better.
But every once in a while, you're going to get something. It's going to happen. At some point, a coach lets his guard down, he likes the reporter, or he's just honked off.
Right. Right. I mean, it's tough to get Les Miles in his prime where he's eating grass, talking to Tracy Wolfson, or he's letting an expletive, blurt out coming out of the locker room. I mean, most coaches aren't going to give you that.
But every once in a while, as a Michigan State alum, I remember John L. Smith years ago coming off the field, just giving it to one of his players. And we're like, what? Wow. Okay. Don't really agree with you, but like the honesty.
I think you can tell by the way how the interview is going to go based on the posture. I'm just throwing this out there. Did local TV for 20 years. If the person you're interviewing all of a sudden stands very straight and puts their hands like they cup them together, or they put their hands behind their back, even like all of a sudden they're being interrogated, you're going to get nothing. Absolutely nothing. I interviewed you one time and we were yucking it up. And then I said, all right, we're going to turn the light on. We're going to do this for real. And all of a sudden you straightened up. All right. You even buttoned another thing on your shirt. Okay. And you're like, all right, now I'm Mark Miller with the Florida Everblades. All right.
Gave you nothing?
You gave me a little bit, but I mean, we were barstool. All right. And just for 5 minutes there. And then you got,
Then I gave you local news.
Yeah. Lights, camera, action.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again. Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth. that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Vanderbilt Beach opened up. That's my good today, David.
Can I make an observation?
Yeah.
Do you know what? And I could be completely inaccurate, but it's been, 11 weeks since I'd been here. It seemed a lot darker. Like when I'm driving, there seem to be so many fewer lights on.
Okay.
Whether it's a businesses, street lights, or what have you.
Is that just from the hotel here this morning?
No. It was from the airport to the hotel, which was, tree line to Daniels. And then driving in and around through Bell Tower and what have you. It just seemed a lot darker.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true or not.
I really don't know why I did that. I'm very sorry, but Merry Christmas.
Who's this from again?
KW.
At the David Moulton.
Banana slugs. Oh, this guy pays attention. KW, you're the man. Rocket City Trash Pandas and banana slugs. That's awesome, KW. Thank you. I'll be sporting it tomorrow.
Whoa.
Oh, I got the same.
I think we all did. David gets the golf shirt.
All right. Thank you, KW.
Thanks, KW.
Yeah, you're the man.
I don't think he's in here, though.
Who's
That is the trash cans. That is the same one as this one. That is the
Trash Pandas?
The trash pandas. Sorry.
Who are
Oh,
they
that's
again?
awesome.
Rocket City.
Oh, Rocket City Trash Pandas. All right.
That's a lot better name than the Fort Myers. What are they? Mighty Muscles. Dumbest name in sports. I think the other thing, what you're talking about too, is all those signs that are still out. I mean, there's so many, like when you drive, because you were doing mostly in the dark, when you drive back, you'll see, I said just driving yesterday,
Electronic signs.
how many signs, how long will it take before all of the signs are fixed? I figured 2 years just to fix all the signs. I mean, our stop signs are still down in our neighborhood. They're laying on the ground all over the place.
There's some that are twisted that makes like areas that don't have stop signs have stop signs.
What do we got here, by the way?
Gifts.
Okay.
Oh, it's a sticker. Nice. I'm gonna put this on my cooler.
Did you let your girlfriend drive to La Crosse yesterday?
No.
Why?
I mean, I was thinking about it.
It would look better with her driving the car.
Shut up, dude. I was thinking about letting her and taking a nap on the drive over, but it was just a 30-minute drive, so we were kind of in a rush, so I wanted to
What
be the
did
one.
you do there? What were you doing there?
I have a question. Since we went to break a minute early, why are we not back?
Because the automated system, I extended the
Break by a minute.
network break by a minute, yeah.
Okay.
Because everything's hard breaks with the thing. Either that or we had to come back for 60 seconds.
Really quick, I controlled the shot clock and the clock on the board, and she was doing stats.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Was she a lacrosse player? Is that how you found out about this?
No, but she followed, like, she likes lacrosse.
Gotcha.
And she helped her lacrosse team in high school. Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You miss any part of the show, go to floridasportsnetwork.com. Earlier today, we had Dan Matthews, who covers the Dogs, Kevin Noon, who covers the Buckeyes, and last hour, we even talked a little association with our new favorite team, the Orlando Magic. They follow our lead. They do exactly the opposite. Their radio voice, Jake Chapman, kind enough to join us.
David, we just finished Christmas finally during that break because we knew you were coming back to town.
Right.
And one of our loyal listeners dropped off gifts for us last week, and we waited until today that we were all in the same room together and just opened the gifts. And we've got some solid team name swag.
First off, I'm touched that you both waited. I told you didn't have to wait.
You can thank Felipe. I would have never waited.
Come on, it's the Christmas spirit.
Well, the Christmas spirit is, wait, is that a gift?
Open
it's
it.
Mine? You know.
We all have to open it together, though.
No.
Come on.
No. See, maybe it's because we're only children and you're part of a family, so to speak. You know, the two only children here, we're like, wait, does that give mine? You know. You're like, oh no, we have to, this is a family, brothers and sisters,
Everybody open it together.
Wait,
Come
I
on,
mean,
on three.
I don't wait to eat either, which I know is shocking to you, but that would have been difficult for me, come to think of it, to have a sibling. All right, wait to open gifts, wait to eat.
Now, let me ask you a question about this just not waiting to eat thing.
Right.
Because you are married to the daughter of a minister.
Correct.
It's just a guess. It's just a guess.
Uh-huh.
But at some point, there had to be a prayer said before dinner. I know there is in our house because my wife is a very avid churchgoer, and we say a little prayer before we eat.
It's funny you say that, right? I thought Christmas dinner was starting Sunday without one, and the minister's daughter there said, hey, if you don't mind. All right. You know,
how many times have you been guilty of early eating?
Oh, every time. No, every time. Because
do you feel guilty?
No, we went and got the food. The food was in the kitchen. You served yourself.
Okay. All right.
And then you went into
buffet
the dining
style.
room area. Right. And you sat down. And then, so we had already put food on the plate. No, I brought it in the dining room. I sat down. I started cutting up the ham and I was eating. Oh, no, wait. If we could, we've already started, you know. And I'm not one of those, wait till everybody gets to the, no, we're eating. No.
It's probably some of the dirtiest looks I get from my wife because I'm the same exact, I'm the same exact way. It's why one of the many reasons we get along because we don't need to deal with all of this stuff.
No.
It's food, it's eat, let's go.
Right.
And how am I going to get to seconds if I got to wait for all of you to sit down?
Husband, wife, child. What more do we need to address here? We're good. We're all at the same table. We're doing the holiday together. We actually like each other. What more do we have to do? Well, you have to wait till everybody gets their dish. Why? No. Yeah. In cooking the food, the idea was not for everybody to wait as long as possible before you start eating it.
But I had one happen last night that wasn't pre-meal. It was turned out to be post-meal, David. I didn't want it to be post-meal, but we got a pizza last night.
Okay.
Mother-in-law's in town. 4 of us sat down, had a little pizza.
Okay.
I had a second piece.
Right.
I went to get a third, and my wife said, "Are you really hungry, or are you just eating that because it's there?"
Whoa. 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 See.
And I answered very quickly, because it's there.
See, you're a better person than I am, because my first thought, now granted, it's your wife. Would I have said it to my wife? Well, actually, yes. But if my wife had said something like that to me, I would have said, "Are you just being a jerk, or is it Tuesday?"
Did I tell you the mother-in-law was there?
Well, that might have changed things for me.
But
that's true.
Might not have.
It might not have, actually.
And I answered, said, because it's there. And basically, it turned out she wanted the pizza today for lunch.
Well, then we should have gotten a second pie. We should have gotten a large and a medium. I mean, that's kind of how that rolls.
But it was a combination. Apparently, I need to lose weight shot. I'm eating too much. And it's
still December.
Thank you.
Come on, we don't start this till after January 1. And I will say, the fast food places make it really difficult. That's when they're like, right now, everything's like 2 for $7. You wait. They'll all be 2 for $5, 2 for $6 next week. You wait. Stuff they never include in the specials, now they'll include in the specials. The fast food places make it so hard for you to start your first of the year diet.
How long would it take you to starve to death if I told you you couldn't eat fast food anymore?
Okay. If I had to then prepare my food, I would die. I would. I wouldn't make it. If I had to prepare my food. Now, if I could just go to the grocery store and just purchase my meal, I might go every day. I might go early. Like after the show, I may go into the store and go, all right, I need to buy lunch, dinner, and a big snack. The snack will either be in between lunch and dinner or after dinner. So I need 3 meals. All right, what am I buying? And I buy everything up and it's all ready to eat. None of it has to be cooked. Also, like a good thing for me, I could just go to the deli. I could buy 1.5 pounds of
right. No,
I could buy 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds of turkey, 1 pound of cheese. And I could just sit there. That could be the day. No bread needed.
Might be a good health kick for you.
Yeah, the Publix delicatessen and their pre-made meals are
right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So you would
so we're working on you.
You would rule that.
So in that sense, I would still live. But if you actually forced me to heat up food, and especially if you put the clause in non-microwave, I'm done.
Done.
I'm done.
All right.
We would do an over-under as to how long we think I'd last. I will say, though, when I lost the kidney, didn't eat food for 10 days, lost 42 pounds. 11 days, actually, turned out to be. No solid food for 11 days. 42 pounds.
And I only want to lose 20. So, I mean, if I just did that for 6 or 7, I might be able to pull this off.
Well, the first 5, it's just, it's like 8 or 10. And then apparently you get over that hump. And I don't know I think it was like day 7. And man, it just fell off me.
Was it just straight smoothies?
No. Oh, no.
It was
No.
broth.
I had broth. I was in the hospital. No, I had my kidney removed. 11 days. Broth. 11 days. They had to clean me out before the surgery, then the surgery, then you couldn't eat anything. 11 days, no solid food.
Yeah. First time that's happened to David since the first 11 days of his life.
In fact, I don't even know if that was true.
Yeah.
I think my mom stuffed the ham and cheese in me in the first 11 days. Johnny Mac says, I've never seen a person order 2 pounds of meat at the deli. Seriously?
I've even done that.
Seriously, I order 2 pounds all the time. I go, now 1 pound and 1 pound. Don't have it all together. I have 2 pounds of turkey, 1 pound, 1 pound. Do you, by the way, when they offer you the slice?
Yes.
But do you like ever say make it thicker or make it thinner? I literally say to them, I trust you. I'm good.
I tell them how I want it, and if it's not right, I will have it fixed if it's too thick. Yeah, I'm going to get my deli meat the way I want it.
Okay.
It's not up to them.
And Deadstruck says 2 pounds isn't much. There you go. That's what I like. So thanks for the gift, and thanks for waiting for me, guys. The Trash Pandas, right?
Yeah, we got some minor league baseball gear, the Rocket City Trash Pandas, and then I got a University of Santa Clara Banana Slugs t-shirt as well.
Oh, wow. Oh, no. Who he likes more, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So level, but their NIL shit's together. They're losing all those kids right now. So, I mean, but when you're coming in third and it's Alabama, Georgia, and Michigan State, that's
right. Yeah, you're shopping in the high rent district.
Right. At least you're getting considered.
Well, I mean, come on, you got an alum who just bought the Suns. I mean, you should have your NIL shit together. It costs him a lot less to take care of his alma mater than it will to take care of his NBA team.
I mean, between he and Gilbert, they're in good shape. They got two rich guys
they do,
who are into sports.
And love it. Yeah, that's true. God, they got 2 NBA owners.
2 NBA owners. And the NBA owners want them to be good in football, too. They had an article. I didn't see the whole thing, but someone clipped it because Ishba, is that Ishby? Yeah. Ishba, whatever his name is there. Yes. He his money he gave to Michigan State because it's a public school, all the public records. They pulled out his donation to Sparty and read through all, he's going to have the court name, Tom Izzo court. There's that much for this. There's that much for this. And but here's what I'm spending on coaches.
Well, don't you think they called him and Dan Gilbert about Mel Tucker?
It was he and one other guy. It's not Gilbert right now that are sporting like 14. I did see a thing earlier today, by the way, that I got to find it again. But Florida State is apparently 3-0 in bowl games played in Orlando.
Okay.
Just that's for you more than anybody else. somebody win the Mega Millions? No one matched. 640.
Wow.
I would love the Pittsburgh Steelers to win their last 2 games.
Now, my understanding is they don't win a single tiebreaker.
I don't care.
No.
I'm just saying the whole Tomlin.
yeah.
It would be flippin' remarkable.
Mike Tomlin is one of
that the only way they can make the playoffs is to have everybody
just lose
8,
out,
9
basically.
or
Yeah,
worse.
right. No, I'd like to see him beat Baltimore.
So, like, the Jets have to lose to Seattle, beat the Dolphins. Dolphins have to lose out, obviously. Patriots have to beat the Dolphins, lose to the Bills.
Right.
I mean, that's
That's
what they need.
Basically, it's a 2%. Dalton Miller said it's a 2% chance, according to all of the. No, I just think it would be cool to see them get over 500 again, or win this week and play for a tie. I've not seen this one.
Mm-hmm.
30 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Home stretch, Miller and Moulton on this hump day, final Wednesday of 2022. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Full show lined up tomorrow. We're trying to even make it more jam-packed, but it's a normal Thursday. Matt Canada, Roy Cummings, and Dr. Roto. We're lined up, ready to go, trying to work something out with Brett Bielema and the Illinois folks. We know they arrived yesterday, Mark, getting ready for their bowl game over the weekend. So just trying to fit them in, trying to make it happen.
Do what you got to do.
Yeah. So
we've always rooted for the Fighting Bielemas on this show.
Yes, we have. We liked them, whether it was at Wisconsin, Arkansas, or Illinois.
Right.
Yeah. So
they're a 1-point dog against Mississippi State. That's going to be a tough one to win for Illinois. I think. I mean, I think Mississippi State's going to play so damn hard in that game.
Yeah, very emotional. You figure they will be. It would be a hell of a win for the Illini because you know they're going to get Mississippi State's best.
And I think it will, in turn, make Illinois be at their best. I think it's a really easy sell for Bielema.
Oh, yeah.
And first off, Illinois is not used to playing on New Year's Day type of bowl games. I mean, we're talking about Illinois here.
And, you know, the whole Big Ten SEC thing. But, yeah, I mean, he stands before the team and goes, listen, their coach just died, okay? You're going to get the best damn effort that they can give you. If you're not ready to play, we're going to get blown out. Blown out. We'll lose by 30 if you're not ready to play. Easy. Air raid against Illinois' defense. It's actually great styles make a fight game also.
It totally is. There's
so we're working on it.
There's an account I sent you that all I can think of in that game is the SEC guy that I found on TikTok that does it. What? We're going where the pirate ship is? Well, we're good. Okay, I'm accepting that. That's Mississippi. I mean, both these schools are jacked to be in this game.
And that's a big part of if the Bulls are going to stick around and be successful. Danny Cannell, by the way, threw something out on Twitter. We know that this is not realistic because ESPN finances a good chunk of these bowls and they want the programming. But Danny Cannell just said, I really don't think you should go to a bowl with less than 8 wins.
Yeah, I think he's right.
Okay. So the 6 and 6s and 7 and 5s, you just go, sorry, don't know what to tell you.
But there's too many bowl games. But some will go away with I think some will go away with the playoff coming.
Here's why, and it's the only reason why I would look Danny in the face and say, here's why I'm going to veto that. Because obviously we would all like better teams, better games. If you make that the rule, we will have very few good non-conference games. We don't get enough of them as it is, and you just have to get to 6. Now, if we have to get to 8, every team, and also
just think of who Wisconsin would play with their non-conference schedule.
Right. And also a lot of conferences now, if not all of them, are going to be playing 9 conference games. So you can only schedule 3 W's, if you know what I mean. Whereas, up until now, certain conferences only played 8 conference games. You could schedule 4. Well, just do the math. Wait a minute. So I only get 3 guaranteed wins. So you're saying I have to be above 500 I have to schedule 3 W's and be above 500 in conference play to go to the
it would
bowl.
never happen.
No.
I love the concept of it, but one, we could never get enough teams to play in the bowl games if that were the case to begin with. And secondly, you're right. It would make for horrible non-conference scheduling.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
I haven't talked about them in like a week and a half.
I know.
Okay. The Spare comes out in a little more than a week. Book's going to be more inflammatory than the Netflix thing. Just so you know.
Did you watch any of the Netflix thing?
A small part of the first one. But I'm pretty much going to wait till football season's over.
So you can dive right in?
Yeah, so I can just binge watch it in its entirety.
1732, Benjamin Franklin under the pseudonym Richard Saunders begins his publication of Poor Richard's Almanac. 1860, Harriet Tubman arrives in Auburn, New York on her last mission to free slaves, having evaded capture for 8 years on the Underground Railroad. Today in 1918, Montreal's George Vezina becomes the first NHL goalie to record an assist in a 6-3 win over the Toronto Arenas. 1944, Rocket Richard becomes the first player in NHL history to score 8 points in one game, a 5-goal, 3-assist game in a 9-1 romp over the Red Wings. Today in 1947, at Comiskey Park, the Chicago Cardinals beat the Philadelphia Eagles, the Cardinals' only title victory.
When was that, 47?
47. Today in 58, in what was dubbed the greatest game ever played, the Baltimore Colts beat the New York Giants 23-17 at Yankee Stadium in the first ever sudden death overtime game in NFL history. 17 Pro Football Hall of Famers were involved in the game.
Credited with kind of like the 79 Daytona 500, credited with really bringing NASCAR and putting it on the national map, the snowstorm, and rest of the country, people were stuck home. What they watch, credited with putting the NFL on the national stage was that game.
Today in 68 was the Miami Pop Festival. Over 100,000 attended. The Jimi Hendrix Experience, the Mothers of Invention, Chuck Berry, among those that performed. Today in 75, the Hail Mary was born. Staubach to Pearson to take down the Vikings.
Oh, man. How many Vikings fans do you know?
A few.
they are still honked about that Pearson pushed off.
OPI?
Yeah, Pearson pushed off. They went to Super Bowls the 2 years before it and the year after. And they are convinced. And I talked to Chuck Foreman one time about it, and he thought that was their best team, the team that didn't make it to the Super Bowl.
Today in 1990 was the first ever Blockbuster Bowl. Florida State would beat Penn State 24-17. Today in 2008, Packers 31, Lions 21. The Lions 0-16. 3 years ago today, we had the semifinals with LSU blowing out Oklahoma and Clemson beating Ohio State 29-23. Those born today that are no longer with us, Woodrow Wilson, Stan Lee, and Terry Sawchuk. Those celebrating birthdays. Edgar Winters, 76. Musician Alex Chilton is 72. Denzel is 68. Everson Walls is 63. He's a tough SOB. Ray Bork, 62.
I think he should be a Hall of Famer. I really do. Undrafted free agent. First 2 years in the league, I think he led the league in interceptions both times.
Memphis State star Keith Lee is 60. That's right. Memphis State, not Memphis.
Damn right.
Adam Vinatieri is 50. Seth Meyers is 49. John Legend is 44. James Blake is 43. And Cedric Benson is 40, David. And that is Today Was a Day When.
And I got nothing, by the way. You hit all of it.
Every once in a while, I
job.
throw a perfect game. Not
job by
often,
you.
but every once in a while.
You know what I do love talking about is, so the 58 championship game was today. Right. We have 2 weeks left in the regular season.
Correct.
That was the divisional round, which was the first round of the playoffs in 75, because only 4 teams made it from each conference, 3 division champions and 1 wild card. Vikings were the 1. Dallas was the wild card. Dallas went to Minnesota in a 1-4 matchup. So this was the first round of the NFL playoffs in 75 on this day. And obviously we still have 2 weeks to go. So if you think about it, in 75, the Super Bowl basically was taking place when the first weekend of the NFL playoffs is taking place now. So the game's been pushed back damn near a month.
A month.
In 2 generations. And just wait in about 10 years, new CBA, they'll get an 18th game. They'll push this sucker back even more.
Super Bowl will be right around Valentine's Day.
Right. And Fox will then have to send all their guys to Daytona with like no days to spare.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
For the good, Vanderbilt Beach has been reopened.
Oh, cool.
Absolutely. Nothing really more I have to say about that. We all know how long and hard and how long it continued to be to rebuild and redig through Ian, but small wins like Vanderbilt Beach opening we'll take. For the bad, we stay in Collier County, where Ashley Escobedo got a job at Target, making some money at Christmas season. Learned how to work the register. Then she started stealing by discounting items in the register and pocketing cash.
Okay.
Well, the 18-year-old was not that smart, because a big store like Target would figure that out pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And the little amount of money, the $880 that she stole, will keep her with a record for the rest of her life.
Right.
For the ugly, we go to Indianapolis, where a 33-year-old woman was arrested for drunk driving after she drove onto a frozen downtown canal Sunday night and continued to drive down the canal until she broke through the ice, plunging her car into the frigid water.
Wow.
She survived,
thankfully,
with the help of several bystanders, Police were called and she was arrested for drunk driving.
Mm-hmm.
That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, December the 28th, 2022.
We got 8 games in the association. Both Florida teams in action. Orlando's in Detroit. Heat hosting the Lakers. Miami an 8-point favorite. You are betting both Florida teams.
I'm betting both Florida teams tonight.
What's Orlando getting? Like a point or two?
Point and a half.
Okay. 5 games in the NHL. Lightning, one of them. They're hosting Montreal. Game of the night's probably Bruins and Devils, even though the Devils are sliding. And no, that's not the reason Seth wasn't on the show today. Holiday vacation. He needed the day off. College hoops.
He was running for HOA president at Boca Vista.
Right. Well, good luck to him. College hoops. Gators at Auburn tonight. Conference play starting up in a big way this week.
Yeah, there's a few good college basketball games tonight.
Yeah. FGCU women in action late this afternoon. I believe it's a 5:00 tip, right, Felipe?
Correct.
So if you want to see them take on Brown before their conference schedule gets underway.
Little quirk, Kentucky's playing at Missouri. It's like their first road game of the year. Kentucky's played 2 neutral site games.
And it's sold out. Missouri only has 1 loss. They got thumped by Kansas. They had a big win last week. And this is considered a really big game, like one of the biggest regular season home games that Missouri's had in a while.
Off the radar college hoop game tonight, Colorado State at New Mexico. They'll both be tournament teams. New Mexico's ranked.
With Richard Pitino as their head coach. All right, 4 bowl games. I'm on a heater. Bet accordingly. 14-7 on the bowls so far. I've won 9 of 10. Ready? Go. I'm taking UCF in the 3.5 in the Military Bowl against Duke. I'm laying the 2.5 with Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl against Kansas. Holiday Bowl, 13 points. Give me North Carolina and that quarterback in 13. They're going to lose, but they're going to score 38 and cover. And Texas Bowl, playing a hunch here. I don't think Ole Miss is interested in this game. They lost their last 3 games of the regular season, went from 8-1 to 8-4. It's in Texas. Texas Tech fired up, beat an SEC team, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to play a hunch, take the Red Raiders in the 4 against Ole Miss tonight. So
there it is. I'm not even trying to mess with Moulton's bowl heater.
Now, like, we said, this could be kind of like the Orlando Magic. They had their 3 weeks, and beginning last night, they got thumped at home, and if they could go, sliding off the radar again. This could be me.
Yeah, you had a pretty good 3-4 days here.
Right. And so, come on, it's me. I mean, we know this is going to end.
It doesn't matter who you are. When you're gambling, it's going to end. You never stay on a heater gambling.
Well, even Bud Elliott, late in the season, Bud had a few things go against it because he was in the 63 percentile there for a long time. And even he had a couple of weeks near the end of the season, which brought him back down to earth. Still a winning year by far, but so you're right. Even the good ones, it is gambling after all.
So good news out of Bucks camp today. Jensen practicing. That is a big deal for them. That's probably the biggest news they could get with that offensive line as banged up it is. Keep an eye on that to see. They have 21 days in which they can activate him. David thinks he plays this week. I don't.
I do. And because let's face it, this is the most important game of the year. So if you're going to come back and play, you might as well give what you have, and we'll activate the backup. And, when you can't do it anymore, we'll put him back in. That's my theory. Carson Wentz back starting for the Commanders. They need to win their last 2 to get in, both at home, Cleveland and Dallas. Going back to Wentz. How about that?
I'm surprised by that. I thought they've played better for Heineke. I know he hasn't played well the last couple of weeks, but the team seemed to play better when he was playing.
Yes. And Ed Reed is going to be the new head coach at Bethune-Cookman. How about that? Miller and Moulton. We'll do this again tomorrow. Thanks for listening. David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on